at 17. It was the bling bling era. That's why I started committing crimes. I was selling shoes, weed, everything. When I initially got in the game, the money was doubling. Every single day we're getting $36,000. We lost 200 grand at the airport before. The weed never was what caused the problem. The money was always the biggest problem. This is when the 40 tons conspiracy starts.
Corvain Cooper is one of the biggest drug kingpins in the history of Los Angeles. He was raised in South Central LA and has drug trafficking in his blood. His father was a big-time hustler back in the 70s and 80s and was a close associate of crack legends like Harry O and Freeway Ricky Ross. Corvain got his start hustling back in the mid-90s while he was still a teenager, selling $20 bags of Mexican brickweed. By the time he got arrested in 2011, he was shipping at least 500 pounds every week from California to Atlanta and Charlotte, North Carolina. The government accused his organization of moving at least 40 tons of marijuana through UPS and private freight companies over the course of a decade. But in reality, it was probably a lot more than that. In 2013, Corvain was convicted of running a continuing criminal enterprise and sentenced to life in prison without parole. But he never lost hope. After exhausting all of his appeals, he reached out to the White House. And on January 19th, 2021, the night before he was set to leave office, President Donald Trump granted clemency to Corvain, and he walked free that very day. Now, Corvain is making the most of his second chance at life. He runs a foundation called 40 Tons, a nonprofit in which he fights to get those who are still incarcerated for pot crimes out of prison. This is a cause that's very close to me personally, and I've already made a donation, and I encourage you to do the same. Just go over to 40tons.co for more information. The link will be in the description of this episode. You can also check out Corvain's legal strain of bud called 40 Tons, available in dispensaries throughout New York City and in select states. And for a bonus episode where he tells us how he survived as a nonviolent offender inside of the worst United States penitentiaries, as well as his big plans for the future, head over to Patreon, patreon.com/TheConnectShow. Without further ado, a South Central Los Angeles legend and a piece of American drug dealing history, the one and only Corvain Cooper, right here on The Connect with Johnny Mitchell.
I'm at Pollock, Louisiana. It's like probably the top 3 worst prisons in the feds. I've seen 6 suicides in there. It was very lonely. It was a very deep, lonely part of my life. Trump is doing a list, and I'm not on the list all day. If you don't get out today, it's over.
We just swing from extremes to more extremes in this country. So like what was trendy 4 years ago was like black guys being like, nah, slavery didn't happen. And, you're responsible. And basically like, who's that guy, Charleston White? Like it's the era of Charleston White. You know what I mean?
Anytime that I see, right, I hate to say it like these Charleston Whites and these Woodies and these type of people, right? And for what I stood for in the game of like, no, you're not supposed to snitch, and growing up and not posting a snitch and people getting killed for telling. And now the snitches are getting paid more than the people who really did it the right, correct way is insane to me. They're paying them $10,000 an interview. You know what I mean? And it's like, then we've supposed to went by the code, did everything the right way, and then we get the little ass in, and they're getting the big thing because they're more viral for snitching. It's insane.
Well, actual DEA informants make like 6-figure salaries. They make more than most drug dealers.
Yeah.
So yeah, the game is all twisted. And that was why it's such a privilege to sit down with you.
Yeah.
I hear Inglewood, I hear South Central LA in your voice.
Yeah. That's definitely in my DNA.
Born and raised.
Born in Inglewood, raised in South Central, and then I went to high school in Inglewood too, right? So I got both of them going back and forth, and living in Inglewood and living in South Central. They're both deep in my.
Is there like a difference in terms of street culture between South Central and Inglewood?
Inglewood is more Bloods. It's Bloods in Los Angeles and South Central too, as well. But that's kind of like, when you go to Inglewood, it was just, I just remember nothing but Bloods. Pyrus, Inglewood families, all that type of stuff, Queen Streets. I didn't really see, they had IBCs though. I don't know if they're still around, but they had IBC. That was the only Crip gang that I remember that was in Inglewood.
And South Central is more Crippin'. Obviously, you have the 60s.
You got the 60s. I grew up in the East Coast, so you got the East Coast, and I grew up in the 60s too. So half my life I was in the 60s, half the life I'm in Inglewood. So by doing that, I got to meet all the different gangs from different hoods. So I get love when I go to Inglewood. I get love in the 60s. I get love in the East Coasters.
Yeah.
And it's hard for people to do that and not gangbang and still get the love from all the different hoods.
And you were never gangbanging.
Yeah, I never got put on to one gang.
I think you were too affluent because drug dealing and big time top level drug dealing runs in your family.
And it doesn't mix to be from one gang because I want to be the person. Okay, you can't go over there and get that money. Well, I can. It was like during the times like 08, 09 was like the middleman era, and then they closed the borders, so it was hard to get the weed across as far as like the Reggie and AZ to get it across. So anybody that can get it across, you were like, boom, you got to connect to get it across. You were winning it during those eras. So now I can go to all the hoods that you can't go into. I can take your money, make my money off the top. You know what I mean? Like,
I'm dropping work in all the hoods.
Thank you.
Not red, or blue.
Instead of just being labelized to go to one hood. That I never wanted that.
Okay. Your father, tell us about him.
Bald head. So Tony Cooper is my dad. They called him Bald Head off the east side. Very well-known hustler. He hustled with Harry O, Freeway Rick. You know, those like my uncles. And just growing up, seeing them, you know, my dad had all the cars. We were spoiled growing up. I was best dressed at every school I ever went to. We had all the allowance, you know, all the things that you can have. Like I didn't have the full. Now I didn't maybe have the full time. And then my dad ended up going to the feds when I was 16. After he bought me a car, he ended up going to the feds.
I see.
He got caught up in it was called ill-gotten gains. My dad was always slick where they could never catch him on anything. So they just took all of his stuff all the way down to his mink coats. Took his money, took his mink coats, took all his cars, right? They couldn't take his property. My dad still has all his property.
Wow.
And it was, they got him for ill-gotten gains.
So it was a tax loophole, like the IRS criminal division or something like that?
It was something of that nature. I don't know the exact thing, but I knew that they took all of his stuff. And when I finally got on and I started balling, I bought him another chinchilla and bought him another mink and tried to get him the stuff that was taken away from him.
So you're born in the late 70s. So you were a little kid when crack was exploding
Really
and Freeway
like
Rick
because it was really 79. So
right,
because it's the last month of
So do you remember hustlers like Freeway Rick and Harry O and all the crack kingpins from South Central? Do you remember these guys at all? Or do you remember your father talking about them, or did he do business with them?
He did business with them, but I was real young. But you're still young enough where my dad would try to keep it away from us. So he would hustle like on Florence at the car wash. And my uncle, rest in peace, my uncle would take me up there. My dad would get mad because I can see him hustling or see him. My dad never wanted us to see him hustling, gambling, or doing anything illegal. He kept those two like separate.
Was he selling like hand to hand at the car wash?
Not hand to hand. You know what I mean? He wasn't selling hand to hand, but they would gamble at the car wash and all the hustlers. And that's where, when you were referring to, that's where you'll see the Harry O's and the Freeway Ricks, and you see the people that gambling. And, you know, they would have big dice games.
Oh,
you know?
Tell us about those dice games. Crack money dice games must have been 30, a sight to see.
They're playing ping pong. My dad was very good at ping pong. Yeah, he would beat people at ping pong and win thousands. I don't know if he beat Freeway Rick for, I think $20,000 or $30,000 playing ping pong. Yeah.
Just a game of ping pong.
They'd play ping pong. Yeah. And then they would gamble like that.
Now, did your father, was his main, I know he was into sherm and weed and also coke. Did he turn to crack the way that Freeway did in the 80s when it started exploding? Or what was his main racket, his main drug of choice?
He just did all of them. He just was a hustler, you know, so he of course transferred over once, you know, when it went over to crack. But he started off doing everything, doing all, and he would just be like a low key hustler. When he's hustling, he looks low key, but when he comes outside, he's loud. You know, he's got the drop top, and you know, he got this, and he got a Corvette and old schools, and you know, all the stuff, and all the jewelry and stuff like that. You know?
Was he ever connected with South American or Mexican sources that you're aware of? Like for wholesale?
Probably so. I couldn't, certify that.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't want to certify it because I don't know, but I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
What age were you when you realized where the source of all your money and your dad's money came from?
We went over to my dad's house, and he stayed like in the Dons. At the Dons was like Don Felipe, and he had a little condo. It was like in where Ice Cube shot the "It's in a Good Day" video.
Okay.
Today was a good day.
Where is that?
That's like in Baldwin Hills.
Baldwin
but at
Hills.
the time, that was like a thing,
Yeah.
at the time, right? So we go over. So he was counting his money. He's at probably like $1 million in cash, and I was just like, okay, like
Something's
as
up.
a kid, you're like, my dad doesn't, he obviously doesn't work anywhere, has this big ass chain on and all this other stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's just, you never seen him work. You never seen him but anything that we physically needed, me and my sister needed, we had. Right. Now, what we didn't have is the actual, he would pay for everything. So my granny would take us, rest in peace to my granny. My granny would take us to Disney World, or my granny would take us here, and we'd have limos take us places and stuff like that. But he loves wrestling. He still watches wrestling now. He'll take me to like the wrestling match and stuff like that. But I didn't have I spent more physical time with my uncle, rest in peace, where as far as my uncle taught me how to tie my shoe, my uncle taught me how to put a condom on and stuff. My dad bought me condoms, but he didn't show me how to put it on. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah. That's one of the interesting things about, growing up with a dad who's a big time Willie is you're going to always have material comforts, but you won't actually have him.
The actual physical comfort that you need. And then, after that, after 18, after he went to the feds, he went straight. My dad has not hustled, has not done anything. Right. So my dad went straight. So
how long did he do?
He did like 2 years, 2 or 3 years.
That's not bad.
Yeah. He never committed a crime a day in his life. So that was his first crime. What I did learn from that is that people can change. My mother was on drugs and she changed, right? And she's been clean for 30 years, right? My dad hustled his whole entire life and he changed. So I do know that you can change, right? So that's where I kind of get the motivation where you can change, because after that is what pushed me in the streets so deep. It's because now I have 17 years of addiction of clothes. I have 17 years of addiction of being fresh, getting what I want. Right? Now that's cut off. Where am I going to fill that void at?
Yeah.
I've never, all my clothes have been brand new.
Were you mentored in the game by your uncle or your father as you started becoming a teenager before he went away? Did they start to give you a little bit of guidance, like here's what this is, and this is how you get it off?
I never wanted to sell any hard drugs. I never wanted to sell no dope because my mother was on dope.
Yeah.
So it's like I seen what it affected to my family, and then the effect that it had from having my dad taken away and my mother taken away. Right. So I was never want to put that on no one else's family. So that's why I got into the weed. Right.
Yeah.
So then. But now I have to figure out, because I started with just selling just dub sacks and regular, and had to build my way up. But I had to build my way up because I had to fill all this void of, I have 4 closets at home right now as we speak, right? And that addiction had to come from somewhere. And that addiction came from that, but I had to keep it up. Yeah. That's why I started committing crimes. That's when I start at 17. It was the bling bling era, and I started running out with Rolexes. You know what I mean? And then the checks came. Then I start doing forgery on checks. And then, you just keep going and going and going and going and going and going until you can't go no more, until you figure out everything that I ever got caught for. I usually stop it after that and then go to the next hustle.
Okay. So then when did you just say, okay, I'm dedicating myself to weed? Like when did that start to really pick up for you?
Once I found out about sending it out of town.
Okay.
Now sending it pulling up and getting an ounce and, breaking it down and getting a pound and breaking it down, you're getting a couple of dollars. You know what I mean? Like you might can feed yourself, but you're not going to be able to keep up. Right. So once I've mailed it out of town and then my money doubled for regular hard brick of stress, is where it started at.
Okay, hang on. So tell us about that, because the late 90s in California and all over the country, the weed was so different. The economics were so different.
Yeah.
Tell us about like what was winning. Like what were hustlers that were getting big money? What were they moving? Where was it coming from?
It was coming from out of town. It started coming from Charlotte, then I started going to Atlanta. What happens is it was so perfect back then because it was 4 weeds. It's either you were getting Reggie, AZ, Chronic, which is outdoor, and Kush, which was indoor. You were only getting 4 things.
Yeah, there are 4 strains. 4 strains. 4
not
different markets.
Not 1,500 different markets. Right. So it was indoor, outdoor, compressed Reggie, or pillowed AZ.
Okay.
Right. That's in the 22 bale. Right.
Okay. Go into that. What is the difference between Reggie, regular, and AZ?
I believe they're like the same, just one is compressed. Because sometimes you can get some good Reggie that's not compressed, but it's still Reggie, and they'll still call it Reggie. And they'll call that mid, and you can get it at a lower price. You can get it at 3 or 4 because it's not as compressed as the other one. But the other pillow that's in a 22 bale, that's where we were sent to Atlanta, and you was just boom. Back then, you paid about like $550 to $600 in LA, and you would get 1,000. Wow. Right, so your 6,000 just made 10,000.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Almost
so you just
doubling.
made $4,000 on one box.
And Reggie and AZ are coming from Mexico.
They're coming from Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when at 22 bale, that's 22 pounds, and just
22 pounds.
in one big block.
One big block, and it's all green and it's all pillowed. And once that kicked in, and then you do the Reggies, we'll do the Reggies in Charlotte, right?
What does that mean? The Reggies in Charlotte?
The Reggies is the regular compressed. Now you could get it for like $250, $290, but just say you're paying $3 after packaging and all this other expenses, right? So $3, then you're getting back $6. So when I initially got in the game, the money was doubling. So you really didn't even need no money to start with because they were sending your money back the next day. So if you started with $3,000 and you got to 6 and just kept doubling back and got your initial 3 back, just off the initial startup, you're making $15,000 a week.
Yeah. And it's moving.
It's moving. No, they can't get enough of it. I don't even know what they're doing with it. Right. So a person with $3,000 with a real connect out of town that was just moving regular stress could make $60,000 a month if he had the function to get the money back, which is all he needed was an account, the address for them to send it to, and a good loyal person going back and forth. You and that person can do 10 a piece and 20 in one box, and you guys both can make $15,000 a week.
Yeah,
and that's just at the beginning.
Off a $3,000 principal. That's it.
All you had was $3,000. You could have saved $100 a day.
Yeah.
So it's like you didn't really. Once I seen that, I thought that it's no other thing that I want to do.
Yeah.
I'm not hurting anybody. I can just go mail it. You can afford to take a loss and get back in the game. And then once you do 2 states, you start with the Reggies over here. Now you're doing the AZs over here, and you're getting 6 and then getting back to $1,000. So you're making $4,000 profit.
Yeah.
You never count the money that you put into 6 doesn't even exist because that's going right back in the box. And then you just keep doubling, and then before you know it, you're doing 80 to this address, and then you're doing 40. You just start. It just starts. The numbers start going up, and that's how you get to 40 tons.
Yeah, and you're making hundreds of thousands a week at a certain point because you're sending out hundreds.
You're getting money caught at the airport. Yeah. You're getting. The money is the biggest problem in the world. It's not the weed. It's
the bulk money.
You know what I mean? The money is when you look up the case. That's how we got caught with the $4 million coming through the bank. Because it's the money. The money is the problem.
That's how I caught my case.
Yeah.
I don't know if you knew that
too.
Oh, right. Yeah. I never got caught with any product.
Yeah.
So what came first for you? Was it the plug, the connect, or was it your buyers out in Charlotte and Atlanta? And then you said, hey, wait a minute, let me find the ticket out here in LA. Like what came first?
With Charlotte, I was put on by somebody.
You were introduced to somebody.
I was introduced to somebody, and they were already doing it, and they needed some help, and I helped them. Now with Atlanta,
how so?
It was just, it's like one of the person that like testified on me, So it was just, it's very, very difficult to talk about it. But they had a thing going on and they needed help because Charlotte is a two-way thing. You got the Charlotte on the case, right? That's a whole nother person that testified. And then you got a person that testified that introduced me to the game in general of shooting boxes, right? So they introduced me in general on how you shoot a box and how do you mail it out and how you get the money back. Wow. And back then you were putting the money in paint caulks.
Paint caulks, wow.
So you go get the paint caulk from Home Depot, right? You food saver it, and then you put it inside the paint caulk that says DAP, and you put all paint supplies in there, and then they mail it back. And so then it was just crazy. You'll go up to a girl's house that you can mail the money to, and it'll be 40, 50 bands and paint caulks every day. And then it's like, boom, you pump it up. She thinks you're MacGyver. You know what I mean? Because it's already, the money's food saved inside there, then you pull it out. So
absolutely untraceable.
So that's how I learned that.
Now then, how were you getting the weed to them?
You just mail the weed. You just UPS the weed. That's when UPS was like kind of the thing.
Even back in the 90s and the early 2000s, UPS had next day air.
This was like 2003, 2004.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much are you mailing in a box? Say it's like AZ or Reggie. How much?
Well, AZ, you're going to do like 20 a box. You get you 2 addresses. We call them skirts at the time. 2 skirts. You can do, the most you do in a day is like 80.
80 pounds?
Yeah, 40. And then like
40.
with the, but then you can move up to crates, and then you start mailing crates. Now crates, you do $3.50 a crate. So we call that trucking it. When you truck it and you put it on like the daylight saver thing and you truck it.
And that's UPS ground, right?
No, trucking it is a whole different thing.
Oh, a freight is like you're with an independent trucking company.
Trucking company, and they're going to mail it off, and you put it in a whole little container thing, and then they mail it off.
Now that seems like the way to go.
Yeah, but you're risking more at a time, right? So now you're risking 350 to 400 pounds at a time, right? I never really was a big guy that was big on the trucking thing, even though you got every time that it was more money involved or more this, it was always a problem, right? You can shoot 1,000 boxes, it's no problem. You come this down, the person, now this one gets missing, or this gets this, or we did 1,000 pounds one time, and then the truck. It's just, people are greedy, so you, the more money involved, the more shiciness or greed that I noticed from watching the game, and then from like going over it after. I was like, well, why did we shoot 40 pounds a day, or 50 pounds or 80 pounds a day, and nothing ever happened to the boxes? Now you shoot this, now something's happening, so I would just say it's a lot of greed. Greed.
Well, tell us, like, with a trucking company, is the driver in on it, or how do you disguise 350 pounds?
I mean, you can put, of course, you got to put the cow manure or whatever, but you're going to box it. It's going to be crated. It's going to be like in a thing like it could be a refrigerator. It could be this. It can be that. Right. It could be, whatever it is that you're going to want to send. You know what I mean?
How many people? This is not simple stuff. I mean, the math is kind of simple, but this takes some manpower. Do you have people helping you? Do you have people brainstorming to new ways to smuggle? Like, you must have people running back and forth to UPS.
Now, smuggling is the money. The money is the only thing. Getting the weed there has never really been a problem from the beginning.
Right. But still, you have to food saver it. You have to, wipe things down. You have to prepare it. It's a lot of work.
No,
it's assembly line.
You're in a little longer, or say like, you got the money now. Now you got $100,000. Now you need to shrink it, because of course it's going to be all ignorant with all these 20s and 5s. Right. So now you need to shrink it into the 100. So now, when you have money, you're going to be able to maneuver a little bit better, because you're going to be able to pay the person at the bank to shrink it. You know what I mean? You're going to be able to pay this person. You're going to be able to pay that person, right? So I think
when you say that money, we need details.
Always been the money has always been a problem.
We get that. But hang on. How do you get 350 joints? Do you have to set up an LLC? Do you have to set up a company? Like, how do you
350 pounds?
Yeah.
You just buy it at 350 pounds.
Yeah. How do you get it on a truck to Charlotte? That's what I'm asking.
Oh, okay.
Like,
You're going. Okay,
yeah, I want to know about your organization. Like,
okay.
like
okay,
you come off as like, oh, it just happened, but it
Yeah.
didn't just happen. You have people that are working with you for you.
Okay.
So, and that's what probably the government, presented that as this kingpin because you do have people working for you. That was their excuse to give you life later. So, how many people does it take to run an operation that's shipping, thousands of pounds a week? How many people do you have helping you?
I would say like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 3 or 4
Loyal
people. The
people.
less, the better. The less, the better. And even with the less, the better, they still cooperate and they still told. Right. And it's the people that did the most work, So it's like, to tell you the truth, the people that cooperated are the hardest workers.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like those 2 guys, one guy doesn't even want any help. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't even want you to help him. Like he wants to wrap all 100 pounds, 200 pounds by himself, get it there. He used to want to mail it and he wants to go out there and catch it. The only thing that he really wanted me to do was to make sure that I was the person you could trust with the money, that I get the money back. And that's how I got co-defendants, and that's how Evelyn and Natalia got into the case, and I could start using their bank accounts, and you know what I mean? Right. So it gets basically because I'm the person that you can trust, and then I trust you, and then you bite me in the ass at the end.
Okay, so but this is way later. Like you had years of doing this,
right?
So what year does it really start to pick up? Like, and how did you find your connect to all this weed?
So
talk about who is your supplier?
So it started off, I would send weed to my homegirl, right? My homegirl, Clemency. She was in school, right? So she was like, I can't keep doing this. I'm in school. I'm trying to do better. I can't be going out and selling pounds, right? This is how it starts in Atlanta for my own connect. Right. So she's like, I'm gonna hook you up with my boyfriend, right? So which is Big C, which is my connect, right? So when she hooks me up with him, I don't even meet him. We meet over the phone. By the time I meet him, we've already made over 500 grand, right? And I just start mailing the AZ, right? And he's just dumping him. I'm still on probation, so I can't even go out to Atlanta. And that changed my life. That phone call started switching to him, and then he could pick it up, and he can do 100 a day. Wow. So he can knock it out.
So Atlanta was even a bigger moneymaker than Charlotte?
Yeah, because it was my own thing.
Right.
I wouldn't say that was a bigger moneymaker than Charlotte, because Charlotte people were still getting money. It's just this was my own personal connect, so I was in charge.
Who was your supplier for the weed that you were buying? That's my question. I know who's buying from you. Where were you getting your weed from?
Yeah, I can't say that. You know what I mean? I can't say because he wasn't on the case, and you know what I mean? Like,
were you getting it from Mexico? Or was this weed that was you had 4 different strains by the end?
They would call this Arizona, so they would bring it like from Arizona. Okay. So they would call it AZ back in the day.
Okay. So that comes from Mexico.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. So but did you have any direct, I obviously don't want to know anybody's name, but surely you can tell us, like, were you plugged in with sources in Mexico, or were you?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha.
For sure. Yeah.
How long did that take you? After you're 96, you're just selling dub sacks to actually meeting sources in Mexico.
I used to, so one of my first hustles was we were selling rims. So we would dress up. We had a fake rim company. You know what I mean?
I love it.
So we would go to like Mercedes-Benz and all that, where the Mercedes-Benz has, and dress up, and we'd have a company, and we can get tires and rims. So we hit every dealership for like Lorenzers and Bravis, right? So we would go there. So that's how I met the Connect. I met the Connect by selling them some rims. Oh, wow. By selling him some Bravis rims.
Some fake rims?
No, real rims.
Oh, okay.
These are real $7,000 20-inch rims at the time. Like, so we're the only ones that can get them. So we were getting them for free, and we'll sell them in the hood for $3,000, but they're $7,000. And at one point, even back in the day, we had Lorenzos on one side of the car, Bravis on the other side. So like when I see people like deliver Bravis kits and stuff like that, we used to get that for free. And it all started from being broke. We didn't have any money to get any parts. We needed some brakes, and we didn't have any money. So we went and wrote a bad check, and then they just gave us the parts. And I was like, wait a minute, that's a business. So it started off, the light clicked off in my head, like, oh, we can just write checks. And let's start off with the body shops first. So if you own a body shop, we'd say, all right, you got a wreck Chrysler 300, you need $8,000 worth of parts, give us $4,000 and we're gonna get all the parts. So then we'd trade off our cars and go get trucks and dress up and go get the parts for the cars. Then we ran through all the body shops for all the dealerships. As running through the dealerships, we went to the Mercedes-Benz dealership and I seen rims there and TVs and all kind of exclusive stuff at that. It was at Cannabis, Mercedes, I won't forget. And I said, I'm gonna try it. You know, like we give them parts. So what's the difference from getting rims? And I walked in there and they wheeled out the rims.
Wow.
And I was like, they ran the check and they said they got a call and they called and went through. And I said, we sell rims now. So at that time, 20-inch Lorenzo rims were $7,000.
Yeah.
So sell at $3,000. We hit every dealership from Bakersfield to Calabasas to Encino. Wow. You know what I mean? To Escondido, rather.
All with the bad checks.
Every single Benz dealership there is.
Wow.
All right. So then when the Benz dealership got burnt out, we went to tires because then you could sell 20-inch tires in the hood for $700. They were like $1,400 at that time. So then we hit all the tire shops. And it was just one story where, so the check just kept going through and the greed kicked in.
Yeah.
So then it was in the marina. I never forget. It's in my story too. It's in my book. He gets in the car. He said, man, take me to your boss. Right?
Who's he?
The guy, I drop off the check. He usually, when I drop off the check, he throws the tires in the back of the truck. I've hit this spot 3 times. That's against the law in the game. In the game, you post it 1-2 times. That's it. You don't keep going back. But he just was so sweet that the greed kicked in. And when the greed kicked in, I still went to the spot. I still went. He hops in the truck with me and says, take me to your boss. His check didn't go through. Right? He thinks that I'm going to pull up to the boss. So we're riding, my heart's beating fast. I don't know what to do now. I'm like, I done fucked up now. I'm checking rear view to see if like anybody following me. So I stop right on La Cienega and like Olympic because our shop is supposed to be like across the street from the Beverly Center on La Cienega.
Yeah.
Right. So we're getting close to where we're supposed to be.
Your supposed shop, your fake shop.
My fake shop.
Right.
So we stop on La Cienega in Olympic. I'll never forget. We're at the gas station. I go in. I say, give me 40 on pump one. I come back out. He's an old Asian guy. He's out the truck smoking a cigarette. He's, thank you. Smoked a cigarette. The thing is already still attached to the truck. I hop in the truck, mash out the thing, pulls off the thing. I hop over the curb and left his ass right there. I was just like, thank you. Wow. Like he finally, so I got away from that and that was it from that. I had to stop that whole thing. And that's when I started turning over to the weed game. Because after that, I ended up doing time for the.
Oh, you caught a case over that?
I caught a case for over the check thing. Yeah.
Okay. Did you go to the feds?
No. Just went to the state.
You just went to the state? Yeah. How long did you do?
I did like a year and a half. I did a year and a half for forgery.
Gotcha. And that was like low level yards?
Low level. It was that was more like a level 2. Yeah.
And I'm sure that's when you said like, because you're a drug dealer. Like I could just tell you're a money guy. So you're like, okay, done with this.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as I get home, I'm focusing on the weed.
Focusing on the weed. And that's when I got out. Never looked back.
You guys, Father's Day is almost here. And if your dad is anything like mine, he is impossible to shop for. What do you get a man that has one foot in the grave and has anything and everything he could possibly want already? Boom. That is why the Ridge wallet is the perfect gift. This is just like the greatest guy gift you could get. Get one for yourself as well, okay? You've heard about Ridge by now. They are the future of wallets. They are what Bitcoin is to the wallet. No more of that bulky leather crap that is giving you back problems, okay? I've had Ridge even before they were a sponsor. I've had these guys for years. Check it out. It holds up to 12 cards. You see, those are cards right there. A little bit of cash, and it's just made sleek and it feels heavy. What are you doing with like a 20th century wallet, okay? My favorite part about the Ridge wallet is the RFID blocking technology. That prevents one of these, probably an Albanian guy, with one of those apps on his phone from coming by and taking a picture of your wallet while it's still inside your pocket and grabbing all of your credit card information. Boom. With Ridge Wallet, they can't do it. It's like having a bulletproof vest for your wallet. On top of that, Ridge also has an AirTag attachment, so you'll know exactly where it is if and when you inevitably lose your wallet, which is one of the worst things that can befall a human being. And Ridge isn't just about wallets. They create premium everyday carry essentials like key cases, suitcases, and rings, all built with the same sleek, durable design. They have over 50 colors and styles to choose from, whether you're like me who prefers the plain Jane black forged carbon fiber, or you want your favorite NFL team on there, Ridge has you covered. No matter what you pick, Ridge has free shipping, a 99-day free trial, and a lifetime warranty on all products. And right now, just in time for Father's Day, Ridge is having a huge sale. Get up to 40% off your order at ridge.com/connect. Once again, that's ridge.com with the promo code CONNECT to find the perfect gift for dad or yourself. When you check out, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please, guys, support our show and tell them we sent you. Use that promo code, get almost half off your purchase price, and give dad the upgrade he deserves this year. Thank you, Ridge. Today's episode is brought to you by America's #1 whole body deodorant, Mando. You guys are fans of the show. You've heard me sing Mando's praises from the jump. This is a whole body deodorant for all you sweaty betties out there. I am burning up in this studio right now, and the only thing that is keeping my armpits from dripping all over this table is Mando's 72-hour odor protection. Once again, it's a whole body deodorant, so it can go on any part of your body. It can go behind your ears, under your feet, on your ball sack. It's probably where it should go. Your grundle, who knows what that is? What's a grundle? I don't know, but somebody does. They took the time to study it, and they found that 12 hours after a shower, the average man's grundle odor level was 5 out of 10. But with Mando, the average man's grundle odor level was 0 out of 10. There, put that on your Tinder profile. But no joke, my favorite part about Mando is the different flavors and scents. I put a lot of people onto this and have made them customers. You've got Urban Leather, Clover Woods, Mount Fuji, or Pro Sport. And this is fire, okay? This is like better than the leading brands that you buy in grocery stores. But Mando is also in big box stores now. Want to try America's #1 whole body deodorant formula right now? You can find them in Walmart, Target, and other retailers across the country. They have blown up. Thanks to my show, I'd like to think. Check it out. New customers get a starter pack. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, plus free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack when you use code Mitchell at shopmando.com. Once again, shopmando.com with the promo code Mitchell, my last name. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Smell fresher, stay drier, and boost your confidence from head to toe with Mando. Okay, what year did you get out?
2003.
Okay, so
that was like 2001. I caught that case.
Okay.
Yeah.
When did you meet your supplier? Like, how long after you came home did you meet the Connects in Mexico?
It was kind of instant, man. I was on probably for 90 days. 90 days, I was up and cracking.
Did you have to go down there, or they have an associate in LA that you could just deal with, or did you actually?
They already no, I didn't go down there. They had an associate that I can just deal with, and they would just pull up on me. From when I had to call them. Remember, I met selling the rims. You know what I mean? So
you didn't tell us about that.
Okay, back from meeting them from selling the rims, I didn't have a reason to. They were trying to give me weed then for the rims.
Oh, I see.
I was like, at that time, I wasn't really. I still was kind of in the white collar game.
Yeah.
So I wasn't really. I can kind of finesse everything. I didn't have time to sit there and sell any weed.
Right.
They were trying to give me weed then. So that would click when I found out that you can mail the weed out of town.
Right.
Let me go back over there and go and explain to him, I'm ready for that weed thing that you were talking about 2 years ago.
Because now I can move it.
Now I figured out what I can do with it. I didn't really have anything to do with it. I was going to sell dubs and Nick sacks. I already was doing that in high school, so that wasn't really profitable. And when I got out, I was doing it in the blues, in the West Boulevards. So that's on West Boulevard and Hyde Park in the middle of the 60s. You feel what I'm saying? So when I got out, I was right there already selling weed.
Right.
So I didn't really see. It was just too. It was a danger. You had to carry a gun.
Right.
I'm not really a big gun guy, you know. So, yeah.
So you were looking for a way out of the mud.
At that time, seeing it out of town was more my speed. I can still get my money. I can deal with less people.
Yeah.
No one knows what you're doing besides the people that's in your intermediate crew.
Yeah.
So that was more my speed.
Finding customers on the East Coast back then, if you were a West Coast weed dealer, that was your ticket out of the mud, of the, everybody that was just trying to get off weed. Everybody was trying to get off weed.
And not only that, getting the actual addresses into, because you're burning them out. You only got 2 to the first 6 months we had 2 addresses.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We had 2 addresses.
It starts to get hot.
So I had to go out there and lay ground once I finally got out. I would go to Hooters, right? So Hooters had a lot of women and a lot of college women, right? I would leave $100 tips, right? Boom, $100 tips. And during the time that I would leave the $100 tips, they would fight to be at my table because that was like a big tip at that point. Like it was better than throwing thousands at the strip club. Like the 100, your food's $40, you leave $140.
Yeah.
Now all the girls are fighting for your table, right? So once I figured that out and seen that work, I utilized that, start dating these girls that works there, start using their addresses, and that progressed to get me getting more addresses.
Right.
Because at that time, I would be in the hotel room with 30, 40 pounds until they were sold. And then, I didn't really know the functioning because I've never physically seen it. I was just mailing the weed. Yeah. So I didn't actually see that the fly guys are not the ones that's buying it with the money. The dude is coming in and he looks like a bum, then pulls out the money and just like, damn, you're buying the 40,000, so I got to really see it from a different aspect of how it is in the country.
Yeah.
Right. Besides how it is in the city, because when you're mailing the weed and getting the money back, you don't physically see what's going on.
Mm. Yeah, it's like you're just like sending this into a black hole, and you're like the money spits out. It's like magic.
It's like, but when I actually went out there and was sitting in the trap, and I physically got to sell and physically see the customers, I was like, okay, yeah.
So that was how you began. Was actually you'd mail the weed out to these Hooters waitresses, which are strippers who have dads, and you would post up and wait and you would get it off yourself to the customers.
No. I still have my connect, get it off. I just needed to come out there for us to get more addresses. I see. Because we only had the 2 addresses.
Yeah. And then you just kept growing it. And then you would take you take the money back.
Just have different. What happened, I just get a bunch of girls to come out there, right? Just give everybody 40,000, 30,000. You feel what I'm saying? Like, at that time, this is the BMF area. Atlanta is the most happiest place in the world at this time for our culture. Yeah. So going to the club and somebody wanted to come to Atlanta, and at that time it was cool because at AirTrans had like cheap tickets. Like it was like $200 if you was in college or something like that. Like $150 or $200, and you can just fly everybody out there for like $1,000, like $100 each way, I believe. And you fly them on AirTrans. And then you show everybody a good time and say, hey, take this back. By the time then, I have it shrinked out. So we're talking 2 envelopes. You know what I mean? That's about this big. Yep. Don't put this in your purse. And then go back. We got nagged a few times.
Right.
But mostly, you won more than you lost. You maybe got nagged 4 times.
Yeah, out of hundreds of times you did it probably. Yeah. And so they would just fly it back to Cali.
Yeah, because it's just throw this in your purse fast, and then we're just going to fly back.
Right. Okay, so 2003, you're out. It starts to grow. How much are you moving a week? How many boxes are you sending? How many pounds? How much money is getting shipped back to you?
We're still doing North Carolina. So in North Carolina, you're still doing, it's like a set program, but it's more people involved over there. So those numbers are going to still go under the 40 tons, but really me personally, I probably was only doing 100 a week in North Carolina that were mine. Right?
So you're making about 50 grand profit off that?
No, not 50, because it shrinks down to like you're paying 30, right? You're only getting back 50, you're making about 20.
Okay.
Right. So because you're only get back 5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you're making 20 plus you have to pay the people for the accounts.
Sure.
Right. So I would say like 17.
Right. You know 17 grand a week though.
Yeah.
Fresh out of prison is pretty good. Shipping a bunch of weed. So how does that grow? Then you meet
now I meet Atlanta. Now I can do my
Right.
own 20. Then he can do 20. So now you can make, at the beginning, you're making $8,000 a day, right?
Yeah.
At the beginning, right? Because you're going to make 4,000 off each 10 pounds, and then he's going to do 20, right? So that's what you can make off of one box. Your one box, you're going to make $8,000 profit. That's yours because your $12,000 doesn't exist because you have to re-up with your 12,000.
Yeah.
Right. So that was like, you know what I mean, the epitome of me excelling, right? Because I can still get my North Carolina check.
Mm-hmm.
Then I got the Atlanta thing going on, right? So now I can kind of grow, and now I can kind of maneuver like a little bit more.
How do you expand? Do you get more clients, or do you just keep sending more and more weed to your contacts there?
You didn't really need any more clients because they don't have enough there.
Right.
You can't even get enough there. You don't need to get any more. What you need to do is get some more money to get more weed.
Get more product.
Because they want more weed. It's going as soon as it lands.
Yeah.
It's not like you have to wait or convince anybody to buy it.
Right.
Like, they want it. Like the thing that they want is more.
Is that just because your ticket is so good and it's compared to the price over there?
Yeah, we end up dropping it down to $9 because it was going for like probably about $1,200 in a pound for AZ. So like $1,000 was a good price for them.
Right.
We knock it down to $9. But later on in the game, we knocked it down to $9. But yeah, it was about beating out the customers. Like even in the trial, I learned, even though we were selling it for $5 on the Reggie, the woman that was ended up selling it, she was selling it for $6.50.
Right.
Right. I mean, you find that out during like trial transcripts, but that's what the whole thing is, having the right price so they can.
So everybody's moving it fast. So everybody has a piece of. Everybody takes a little point as it moves down
off a point, because you got to remember at the beginning of it, before Big C was in the box, we used to call it a dumper. He was a dumper at first, and then he excelled. Right.
What does that mean?
A dumper is just the person you mail it to, and he's going to dump it.
Yeah.
So he would make $100 off the top. So without putting in, before you even had to put in $1, he would make $4,000. Because if you're making 100 off each pound, and it's 40 pounds, and me and my partner that I'm sending it with are sending 40 pounds, he's making $4,000 without putting up $1.
Yeah.
Just by who he is and who he can sell it to. So he still makes $4,000 a day.
Right.
So, you know, every angle of it, you got to see like, okay, yeah, it's just times when in LA where I didn't like shooting boxes, and I would middleman. We call it middleman in LA. And I don't want to say his name because he's changed his life. You know what I mean? He's a rapper let's just say he's a rapper from New York that used to come by weed that has changed his life now.
Did he?
And no, it's not Diddy. You know what I mean? But it's crazy. It's because you're close. But anyway, he came and he would buy, and I would just make my 10,000. He'd just get 100 pounds, and I would just make my $100 off the top and make $10,000 in LA, and just driving out the street and throw it in his trunk. He didn't even look at the weed. That's what another thing that I liked about the game back then. As long as it was green, that's all that mattered. It wasn't all this finger and looking at it. And even today, even in the market of being in the legal market, it's the whole thing, you know? So it's just like, it's just crazy no matter how you look at the weed game.
So sometimes you had some hustlers from out of town that would just come to LA with a big buy, and you would just take a point and you just make a quick 10 bands for nothing, just for going like taking it with the right hand, dropping it with the left.
Yeah. And it's hard to do that now because now you got all this weed in LA. You can't do it. The game is like damn near over. So because they don't need you anymore. At this point, they needed you because you had the Hispanic Connect, or you had this, and someone needed you in order to go to the hoods, in order to do that. No one needs you anymore.
So how were you growing? The amount of weed was the problem. You had to get more weed out to Atlanta, more weed out to Charlotte. How did you grow that? How did you grow this operation? Did your Connect give you credit, or were you always coming cash on demand with them?
Sometimes you get credit. Sometimes like, you know, hey man, I got 100 tied up. Let me just, you know, get 100. If I'm buying 100, right? If I'm buying 100, front me 100, right? So there were some times like that. And then sometimes the skirts is what we call them. The addresses were bad in Atlanta, and just all the boxes, we lost 5 straight boxes. So then we would mail them to South Carolina and drive from South Carolina on down and pray. We'd literally pray in the car and have to drive back with the weed and mail it to South Carolina and drive back down, because it was at a point of during the BMF era when all the drugs and all the stuff was getting hit out there, maybe in like 05.
Yeah.
Right. It was very, very tough and it was a very, very hot zone.
Yeah.
And all the boxes, the UPS people were still in the boxes. It says they know what's in there. What the fuck is this big ass box coming from Cali for? They're taking it. Right. So that was a very, very crucial time too.
Yeah.
Because you lose 5 times back to back. And then in 06, I just got a house. I finally, I had 2 cribs. I just got a house. I got the new Jag. I got this. My kid is just born. I've spent a lot of money. And then boom, he gets knocked.
Who's that?
Big C goes to jail.
And Big C is
my plug at the time. And, at this personal time, this is my only source of income. And I've got a $12,000 a month overhead.
And Big C is the guy in Atlanta?
Yes.
Okay.
So he gets cracked, and that was a terrible time. I had to go back to the streets, and I had to go back to hustling hard, because that was my only source of income. I got spoiled for 2-3 years.
Right.
Like I didn't have to do nothing but mail boxes. So I went back to the streets, and rest in peace, my boy ZZ. I was selling shoes, weed, everything. Then the borders closed on me. It was tight. 06, 07.
How did you eventually find a new buyer on the East Coast?
This is when the 40 tons conspiracy starts. So I'm on the corner, I'm back hustling, I'm back grinding. And then the guy who told on everyone, started the 40 tons conspiracy, he sees me and he's like, bro, I got Charlotte cracking. But he owes me some money from like Miami. That was some shit we did. And he's like, man, you don't need to, you too big to be out here, man, to be out here on the streets, man. Come with me, pull up and get in the Maseratis. And, at the time, I was like, I got these pretendos. We call them pretendos. Those are the ones that are grown like outdoor, right? So I sell them some pretendos because the border is closed and it's hard to get the things. So he gets to pretendos. I make probably like about $10,000, right, off of the pretendos, off of the actual middleman fee. And I use that middleman fee to start messing with him on the Charlotte thing. And that's how we start the Charlotte thing back up.
I see.
And he needed me. This is the one I said that likes to work a lot, and he doesn't mind putting the crates together and doing all the work. And he'll wrap the box, he'll do everything. He just needs somebody to send the money back to. And this is when Evelyn and Natalia, I bring them in, I'll meet her. She works at the bank. Right. I'm like, I just need you to help me get the money back.
Okay.
I'm gonna put $9,000 in your checking, $9,000 in your savings. So I'll put $18,000. I'll give you $200 each account, right? That's what I'm paying Western Union. So I'm gonna give you $400 a day. Then I'm gonna give your cousin $400 a day. We're gonna get back $36,000 a day. And that's how the money trail started. And that's how the conspiracy started.
Okay. So at this time, does the weed, I assume that Mexican, the brick weed, the Reggie and the AZ.
This is the brick weed.
Okay. So, that's still selling in 07?
Is it? I mean, like, it's selling so much that we had to move the crates. We couldn't get enough.
Wow.
Right? Like, not only was it selling, it was tremendously like a boop. It was like to the top we go. Like we made it all the way. Even though I don't like to, claim things of people that like,
Please do.
Get me wrong.
Please claim it.
Yeah, I mean, we, Hollywood Hills, 4-level mansion, 4 balconies across the street from Taraji P. Henson, Mike Sepp down the street, off Mullen. So you got to make it to different, I trapped out the loft downtown, so it's like you got to see some different things. And
so this is still weed that's coming from Arizona, from Mexico?
No. This is regular Reggie stress.
Okay. So
AZ is going to Atlanta. This is going to Charlotte, North Carolina.
Where does regular Reggie stress, that also comes from Mexico?
That's just brick Mexican weed.
And it's still moving. That's so crazy because in 07, I was in college in Eugene, Oregon, and you couldn't move that anymore. No, it's,
eating it up. And it's just during a time where the borders are closed. So they're eating it up like it's like the thing to do.
So if you were the one that could actually get the weed across the border, or you had the plug that could do it, you were selling it to everybody.
I mean, like, you can't get enough. I'm back at the loft middle management, and then, we're selling it over there, so it's like.
How much are you moving a week?
With the crates? All right, sometimes we do
Yeah, whatever, man.
We do 40, right? We do 40 a day in the boxes. So that's, 200 a week.
Yeah.
And then we maybe do a crate for like 300. Wow. So you do a crate for 300 and then you do the boxes. Wow. And then, but we're just, at this time, we're using the accounts. So that's where the paper trail.
So you got, hang on, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Stay in the zone. Stay in the, this is the glamorous part of the story. Right, we'll get to how you got later. Okay, you know what I mean? Like, don't bury the lead, as we say in radio, So you're moving about 500 joints a week out of LA.
Yeah.
That's insane. And that's just you and your partner.
Yeah.
And a couple of people that you have running for you.
At that time, it was just me and him.
Wow. Yeah. And he's doing all the boxing and the rapping and
he's doing the work. He's going out there. Sometimes I'm bringing back the money. He's doing everything. And the only thing that I am in charge of is the money.
You're in charge of getting the money back from the East Coast.
From the bank.
That's right. Okay.
And I meet a different, sometimes different if we got too much stuck down there, but we can get $36,000 back every single day.
Right.
Every single day we're getting $36,000.
5 days a week because those are banking days, or could you get it?
Even on Saturday.
Okay.
Man.
Okay.
We're putting 9 in your checking and 9 in your savings.
Because 500 pounds, you're selling each pound for how much out there?
500 at the time. We're getting it for 3, selling for 5. So we're making 2,000 off every 10 pounds.
Got it. But that's still 500 pounds times $500. That's still $250,000 a week that you got to get back.
Yeah, but every 3 days you can get back down there $100,000, and then they can go back and get the rest. Because you're getting 30 for sure on paper, on documentation. You're getting back $36,000 every single day.
Okay. Could you explain that one more time? The how you use these ladies at the bank?
They open up. You can open up a Bank of America account in Charlotte, right? So now that your address is in Charlotte, the money's going to be automatically available, right? So you get 9 cash in their checking, 9 in their savings, right? They're making $400 a day for laundering. And they're just doing it every day because they work at the bank anyway. That's another reason why they're mad at them, because they work at a bank, right? So they don't see anything wrong with they're touching 100 to 200 grand a day. They work in Beverly Hills in the bank, right? So it's like, that's another part that I liked about it. So I could just go get the money. I would go, it just got so regular that I would just pull up, they would be at work and the money would be in an envelope in the glove compartment in their cars. And I'll just go get the $36,000. And by the time he comes back, I got the re-up money. I got all the money.
This is amazing. So you deposit it using women that work at the bank in Charlotte, and then you go withdraw the money?
No, they work in a bank in LA. You open your bank like you live in Charlotte.
I see.
So it can be clear as soon as they put it in.
Totally.
But they're in LA.
Right.
Their bank is opened up in Charlotte.
That makes sense. Yeah. So that they deposit it in Charlotte, and then you just go to your account in LA and withdraw the money.
Withdraw the money.
Wow. And you only had to pay them $400 a day?
And then you leave you leave some in there so it can be, and you tell them to leave their 400s in there too, so their 400s can grow.
Right.
So they're only taking out the 88, right? Out of each one, right? So then they leave that in there. Now their money can grow. Now they can see their check by the end of the week. Now it's like, okay, I make $2,000 or $3,000 a week. You know what I mean? So wow.
And to a lady who counts cash at a bank, they don't make a lot of money. They make $20 an hour.
Thank you. So, it was like a double entendre.
I mean, you imagine like if a weed trapper was able to commit that kind of conspiracy. Think about what coke kingpins in the 80s were able to do, who they were able to manipulate at the banks.
Yeah.
Like I was so scared. I was like, that's the government, literally the federal government monitors everything that goes on in the bank. Like that was already a huge no-no for me. Why did you think this was the best way to do it as opposed to like putting it in
not only
cocking?
Did you do it before, not only have I done it before and done it with other girls that nothing's never happened to, right? That I know that it's all like smoking screen. It's like if no one's not telling on it and no one didn't testify and tell the feds that this is going on, the girls would have never got. Because if that's the case, then everybody would. If it was this big old thing, then where's the other 10 women that did it? So why are they not? But since he testified and told on them, and of course, if you go look at their accounts and you can see it, so
but you didn't get knocked. Like it's not like the feds picked up on these girls at the bank. And that's how the conspiracy started. That's how the case started.
A safe deposit box.
Wow.
We're making money together. So when you get off work, I would go to the safe deposit box and go put my money in.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I would leave one. I had one in Atlanta and one out here. So if I made my money in Atlanta, I'd leave it there with the do I need to bring it back for?
Yeah.
Right. I needed somewhere to run to. Right. And he knew this. And it was one weird day, and I should have knew this. It was like right before the feds came. I went and they were taking like a long ass time to take me back to my box. I've been going to this same box for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
What are you taking me long to go to my box for?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I should have knew something then. I should have took my money then.
Wow, that is fascinating. So,
Yeah.
so they never were alerted. The feds were never alerted to all of this money that was coming in and out of these bank accounts. That's amazing for somebody to learn.
Not only that, the women went off and she had a baby and she went out and lived her life. I didn't even see them. We didn't see each other since 2009. Our case started in 2013.
Right.
So that's 4 years of no one saying anything and people out living their regular life.
Right.
Right. So, and we're talking $36,000 every single day. I mean, not missing a day. I don't think we missed a day. We worked every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting because all of these different cells, these operators, yeah, you guys worked independently. There wasn't a lot of communication. It was just, you guys got it to be such a well-oiled machine that, yeah, boxes go out, money gets deposited, everybody's happy.
Well, by the time you wake up, it's already deposited. By the time you wake up in LA at 9, the money's already there. It was a real life machine, you know.
So you're waking up to hundreds of thousands of dollars just available to you at all times. Millions of dollars.
A day for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you talk about an addiction that's hard to shake.
That one's going to be, I didn't understand why anybody wanted it to stop. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, you know, like.
Now, did you have any problems with supply? Because now you need to get about 500 pounds of Reggie out to the East Coast every week. Did you ever have any droughts on your end?
You have droughts, but you have like 4 or 5 day droughts, 6 day droughts.
Right.
You know what I mean? And at that time, it's more of an addiction where you just want to get back to work because you're used to getting up and getting it done.
Now, your suppliers on the Mexican end, how did that work? Did they get all of the bulk product to LA and then you just go take as you need it? Or were you guys actually warehousing the re-up? Like, would you go re-up with 500 at a time? Like, how did that work? How did the re-up work?
The re-up works with you go get a little storage unit, right? You go get a little storage unit. So you leave the extra weed that you're going to. So now every day, instead of having to go every single day, that would be just, that would be
federal, as we say.
That would be crazy, right? So you get that, and then you just send out your 40 a day. Then when you're sending the crate, you get it all and put it all in the crate and just work all that one day.
Right.
You know what I mean? That one day of getting the crate out. And then I'm not a big crate dude. I like the boxes.
Mm-hmm.
Because boom, you can make it, you can lose it, you can win it, it's kind of like gambling. Right? But with the crate, you're putting the eggs in one basket.
Sure.
Right. And now people are starting to have bright ideas.
Did your partner explain to you, how he used crates? Like, did he have to create fake LLCs? Like, what did he declare? How do you declare 300 pounds in a crate? What do you say it is?
He was pretty flagrant, and that's what part is our downfall. Is the reason why why everything happened. It's because he just goes in there flagrant. He thinks he knows everything. You can't tell him anything, right? You got to think he's making money. He's West Coast, so he's going to be very hard at listening. And that was one of the big problems. The big problem was him being too flagrant going into the day. I believe it's daylight trucking, right? And just being very flagrant about it. Yeah, because I have another partner that's never lost a crate.
Right.
Never in life has ever lost one crate.
Right.
So
I think when you get it done, when you successfully mail through and ship through so many thousands of pounds, you think your shit don't stink. You think it's wow. So I'm the man.
That kind of was one of the things.
So you get about 500 pounds delivered to a safe storage unit, and then you would just prepare everything for the week.
You just still do daily because you don't want it. You don't want the weeds sitting in the box.
Yeah.
You don't want to get all your boxes and now the weeds just sitting in the box.
Right.
So you still would still get up and do it daily. That was your job. I mean, it's going to take you an hour.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And now you're back to what you're doing. And I'm just basically doing that and back to what I'm doing. Have somebody pay somebody $200 to mail it, right?
Yeah.
Boom, I'm paying the person $200 to get the money back. So I've never touched the marijuana. I've never been to your state. And I've never done it. You know what I mean? I'm like a ghost, but a ghost is very bad.
Right. Well, you've definitely been to their state.
No, I've never been to Charlotte.
Yes, you have. You've never been to Charlotte?
I've never been to Charlotte a day in my life.
What was that all that you were talking about Hooters and...
That's in Atlanta.
Okay.
You got to keep up. You got to catch up.
I am.
Atlanta.
You're rapping in the way you talk.
Oh, okay. So, So Atlanta.
Talk like you're talking to my white parents.
Oh, okay.
That's the best way to podcast.
Atlanta is where we had to kick it off. Atlanta.
That makes sense.
To get the Atlanta thing, my own personal thing. Every time that I was brought into Charlotte, I was brought into it with someone else.
Yeah. I see. So you have people coming in and out. You're paying people to drop boxes off because you can't send the same person to the same UPS store. You run out of stores eventually.
Yeah.
And that was before you had to present your ID to ship out a box. So it was pretty easy.
Right.
Did you have like any kind of, I hate to say this, but like, I usually didn't send Black people back then to like make drives for me when we had to go pick up the product. And, we usually tried to send like really well-groomed, like fresh out of college kids.
Yeah.
Did you have any kind of racial profiling when it came to like?
Definitely had racial profiling. Definitely, if you walked in there, that's what I meant by flagrant. By him thinking that he can do that, I meant that by flagrant of going in there and think that your box is going to get knocked. They're going to put. They're either going to take it. We met a lady. This is how we knew about people knocking people's boxes. Right. And she didn't like the guy that was mailing the box, right? He was being so, I guess, obnoxious to her, right? And she sold us one of his boxes. She was like, yeah. And she knew that we were shooting the box. And so I was like, oh, this game is vicious. So the deeper, that was more like 08. Mm-hmm. Like when I was starting to take place, 08 pushing into 09, where that game was so vicious. So many people were sending so much weed that, people were turning people's boxes, the people working there, taking your box. Yeah. So it was a very, very crucial time.
Yeah. When I started shipping weed in 09, that's when this big like CNN story ran. I think it was CNN or it was one of the major news sites ran a whole like half-hour piece on how West Coast marijuana dealers were shipping untold tons of product every week to the East Coast through the mail. Yeah. I was like, oh, this is really blowing up the spot, So that's when we had to start taking a lot of precautions. We quickly got out of UPS. Like I shipped, in 1 year, maybe like 400 boxes and we used exclusively FedEx and the mail. USPS because UPS.
I never liked the USPS. I liked the FedEx because at least they're going to tell you if you're winning or not.
Right, you can track it.
You can track it. If you won, you get up in the morning, go to Kinko's and check your numbers. Right. And FedEx would tell you, like if it's all bad, it's all bad. Yeah. It's good, it's good. It was never no gray area. Right. Like I forgot what city that was, UPS, that it was always a gray area. I don't know if it's Kentucky, I think. Like if your box was stuck in Kentucky.
That's right.
You're done.
It's Kentucky's the sorting facility. It's Louisville, Kentucky. Yes. That's where all of the boxes that get shipped through UPS first go there, and then they get shot off to their final destination.
So when you're didn't move in Kentucky,
you're done.
You're done.
Somebody just got a new Cadillac.
Yeah. So just go on about your day.
Yeah, UPS, and they would. I don't know if it was like FedEx searched their employees better at these sorting facilities, but for some reason, it was clearly easier if you were a UPS employee to steal product out of the boxes. Yes. And I don't know what it's about. Write in if you know. But
you didn't even know, like some people were saying they received the box and it had nothing in it. They still delivered it and it was nothing.
Exactly.
So now you're looking at the person different, so
yeah.
It was like those little type of times that you're like, oh,
for sure. Yeah. Yeah, it was everybody had their own preference. USPS was mostly good because they're trying to compete with the private package delivery services, which UPS, FedEx, DHL. So I noticed that I always won with them, except for one time the money got snatched because idiots on the other end were didn't wrap the money right. And that's kind of, again, that's the biggest problem with this mailing game is that you can't control what somebody on the other side is doing if you're not there.
Right. Then not only that, that's when we go back to the money causing the biggest problem, because you don't have, of course you have the actual transcripts at trial of, it's really a money laundering trial if you ask me, because you're showing the $4 million that is going through the account, right? But where is the $4 million worth of weed?
You said 40 million?
4 million.
4 million was what they charged you with.
Right. The money I'm saying, because this is all that you guys know about, and this is all that you guys have on file. Right. You guys only had 2 crates, right? One crate that you guys seized and one crate, that they stole, right? But where's all the weed? You see what I'm saying? So the weed was what caused the problem. The money was always the biggest problem.
Did you become more sophisticated as the years went on? Did you change the way that you ship money back, or did you always just use the banking ladies? Was that
the banking went on for about 6 years? Wow. 6 years, because it gets you lazy. Right? It gets lazy because then you just go, boom, it's already an account, it's boom. You're really not, I wouldn't do it like that anymore. But you get lazy because it's an easier way, and you have like a confirmed, instead of the money getting lost, you know that the money was put in there, right? Instead of how like you lost 40, 50,000 here, or you lost this, or somebody got a note at the airport because they got flagged at the airport, right? Or, we lost 200 grand at the airport before it went.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
How did that happen? He was trying to check his bag or something?
Trying to just go in through and thinking he can just do everything. He's a know-it-all. I got a few know-it-alls on my team, right? And he went through and boom, got caught the 200 grand out of effort coming back from Charlotte.
Wow. And did the feds arrest him?
Yeah, it's a part of our conspiracy.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, trying to he basically checked his bag and then took it off the carousel when he got back. And feds are waiting for him?
Yeah. So it's like, you have those times and you have the times that you really never lost not $1 at the bank, right? Yeah. So it's like, okay, I lost 40 grand here before. I lost this. This package got stolen, But actually with the bank, you lose in the end because it came with the money trail. But actual physical paper, we've never lost $1 at the bank. They've never held the money, or they never didn't give it to them, right? So
that's unbelievable.
That's what kind of makes you more lazy about the bank, and then you think about the other people that no one knew about, right?
Right.
They're free and clear.
Because there are a bunch of people that got away that were involved with the banking that never got
no
knocked.
one knows about, right? And then so since if no one knows, then boom, no face, no case.
So let's get back to the weed now. So things are really moving. You got motion.
Yeah.
500 pounds a week, more or less. So that's what, 2,500 pounds a month. Do you start to branch out to different strains of weed now as we're moving along into 2009, 2010 and on? Did you start getting demand for more high grade indoor, or good outdoor from Cali,
You do, but you get problems, right? So now now you tie up more money. Now you get 100 pounds of indoor, right?
Which costs a lot. How much would that cost you?
Back then, they were like $3 grand a pound.
And that's a great price. That's a wholesale price, $3 grand a pound.
So you spent all this money, and now you get it down there, and they only like 70 of them. They don't like the other 30. You know what I mean? Like, these ones was cool, but then this one. So now your money gets tied up. I never really won ever in my history of selling marijuana, even in my company. Even in my company, when I just started off with selling high grade, right? High grade never worked out for me. We used to sell it, and then if you sell 10 of them, then 8 of them are getting another 2. The other 2, that's your profit. Those 2 that they don't like. So you actually didn't make any money. You just kept getting your money back. So I've never been successful in the high grade weed department ever.
Oh, that's really
like I
interesting.
don't think you can sell 40 tons of high grade weed even today.
Right.
I don't think you can do it.
Yeah, because that's really interesting because people that are paying, you know, in Atlanta, a pound of high grade Cali weed, even wholesale, was probably, what was the ticket back then? Five grand?
About $5,000.
So
Back
yeah,
then,
if I'm a dealer and I'm paying $5,000 for a pound, I'm a lot pickier. I'm like, yeah, I'm not taking this one.
And then who's going to grow that many of the same exact perfect pounds? They're going to fuck up on something.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So
Right.
it's like, that was never my success.
So until the day you got arrested in 2013?
Yeah, 2013.
You were
I turned myself in 2000. The case started 2011. Right. So 2011 was when I got caught with the pound of weed in the car.
Hang on. I just want to know, were you moving the same kind of weed until the day that you went to jail? Like, did you still stay mail-in Reggie?
Yeah. No. Until the day I went to jail. The day I went to jail, no, that wasn't even the hustle anymore. The weed started being too picky. People start getting on the lean. You know what I mean?
What?
Like people start drinking lean.
Oh, drinking lean. Oh, wow.
Drinking lean. Yeah. So lean was kind of more of like the thing. Like
really?
Right before I got arrested. Yeah. Like even when the feds like kicked in the door, like I had probably like 4 or 5 gallons in the fridge that they didn't even know about. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Because it was more of like a simple hustle where you didn't have to it's like, boom, as long as it's activist and it's sealed in a bottle, that's it. It's no talking about it. Like the weed, by the time 2012, 2013, it's a lot of let me see it, finger, smell it, all this whole type of stuff. And now no one's smoking Reggie. So you can't, so the Reggie's no more good. AZ's borderline, hard to find and no good.
Yeah.
The border's being closed.
Right.
So you can't go that route. So you kind of have to go another route. Right?
Oh, I see. So it was either go over to high grade weed that was on a smaller scale,
which already don't have a good backtrack on that. I already don't have a good career in it.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
And you're moving on smaller scales too.
Yeah.
And it's just harder to get a lot of it. And
it's harder to get a lot of it. It's too picky.
And you're dealing with higher numbers, higher investment. Right. So you're risking more.
You're risking more.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So are you going to risk 30 mans?
Right.
A day.
For 10 pounds?
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
For you to get it out there. Right. And they're like, oh, like 7 of these, but these other 3, I don't know what I can do with these, shouty. You know what I mean? And so it's just like, now you know, other 3,
you should have found some white guys.
You know what I mean?
No offense.
Yeah. So it's like, nah, I can't with this. So
and then the Reggie wasn't even selling. This was like
Reggie's done. Reggie's done.
Yeah.
Reggie's done. And AZ is hard to find.
Right.
Good AZ is hard to find. And now it's chronic or kush. And
now, could you have retired? Like at this point, had you moved for a decade, practically, you just moved unfathomable amounts of weed. Did you save any money? Like, could you have just stepped back from the game in general? Or did you feel like you had to get off into
I tried different things. I bought real estate. I bought a clothing store for my kids. Remind me, I have kids now. So I had 2 daughters at this point. I was still into living a lavish lifestyle. I've had, mansion, yacht, baby showers, and, Nipsey performed at my daughter's birthday party, and so that was like South Central history.
Right.
I had YG do like a give back clothing to all the kids at Horseman that had straight A's and gave them free skinny jeans. And I started being like in that, and I started like my own clothing line and stuff like that. So I was dumping money into trying to maneuver to get out the game.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm very into cars. I've had over 25 to 30 cars, so I'm into a lot of stuff, so I'm spending a lot of money too.
Yeah.
So because I have a lot of habits. Yeah. I'm into a lot of stuff. So
right. So
I don't really repeat my clothes that much either.
Yeah, because you're used to being fly, like you were fly as a kid with your dad's drug money.
Yeah, so all that led, that's what I was meaning by when you're growing up in those type of lifestyles, even if you look at the, kids that were celebrity kids or whatever it is, right? You are creating habits So I've created years worth of habits that I had to keep up with, right? So those are all habits that it's just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
That I had to keep up with. So, you know, a lot of money is going to that too as well, you know, so.
Yeah.
And then I do that for my kids too as well. So you have to keep it up for you, yourself, your kids, and then you're going to have a girl. You have to keep it up for them too, right? So,
yeah. Yeah, it's tough when you've created this culture and this persona and just, again, habits, right? It's not just a cultural thing, but it's also just like you become like it's like Chris Rock said, and this is no offense, women can't go down in lifestyle. And for the drug dealer, the fly dude who's now like a hood star, I mean, you know, guys like Nipsey Hussle and YG. So I assume kind of that whole area kind of knows who you are at this time, and the source of your wealth. So you kind of, it's really, really, really psychologically difficult.
And it kind of like that kind of brings in the more money. So like if that stops, because
you attract other customers.
You attract other customers too. But not only that, every time that I try to like go low key or try to like, all right, I'm gonna tone it down. People are like, well, why don't you just tone it down a little bit? I don't get no customers and no one with me. But when I'm loud and do all this, everyone with me and gives me all money. So it's like, you got to stay with what works for you. Right. Yeah. That's how they like me. They like me on the stage.
And that is the thing about, especially the hood drug star, trap star, you know, the big car, the bling, the shine, the cash. That is kind of your business card.
Yeah.
Right.
That's kind of like your advertisement. You know what I mean? The card, if I pull up, right. So I used to trap out of, you know, Bentleys and all this type of stuff. I even got into some in the hood where we had a little, almost like a fake shootout because I pulled up in the Bent, right? But I want to pull up and I'm selling it out of this. I'm not pulling up in the low key. I open my trunk and it just looks better coming out of the Porsche. You know what I mean? Like even when I had the 2-door Porsche, I would keep it in the middle, in the front trunk, right? And then boom, they're going 100 pounds right there. You want it or not? You know what I mean? Yeah. So because the Reggies were so, you know what I mean, compressed.
Yeah, like they're like footballs.
They're like little footballs. Boom, you put them in there, then boom, you know, so
you're trapping 100 pounds out of a Porsche, a two-door Porsche.
Yeah, I liked doing it like that. I think that made it more like, it was exciting to the person that's buying it.
That's right.
Right? So like when he pulled up on the block, it's like, when I pull up, I'm pulling up. It's like, oh, you know, my people finna pull up. He's finna bring the weed, or he's finna, what's it called? I'm gonna pull up in the Maserati, or I'm gonna pull up, you know, I'm gonna pull up the CL63. I had a lot of cars first.
Where do you keep 25, 30 cars in LA?
Not at one time. You know what I'm saying? During the duration.
Right.
You know, I probably have 2 cars at a time.
Yeah.
You know,
coming in and out.
Coming in and out. You trade it in and you get another one. But was just showing you that was another addiction.
Yeah. Yeah. Does your father at this time, because he's still living, thank God. At this time, does he know what you're doing and what does he think about all this? Did you ever have a talk with him?
He knows what I'm doing, but he knows I'm just selling weed. So he's not really, he's not looking down on it. Of course, he wants, you know, he provided it for us to have a better life, obviously. Yeah. But I'm selling weed. I'm not hurting nobody. I'm not in a gang. I'm not shooting anybody. I'm not causing any harm.
And most people are thinking, God, it's just weed. How much time can you get for weed?
I was thinking like 5 years max.
Right.
And I was thinking, not to say it like that, because it's not worth doing it one day for missing your life, but I was feeling like it was worth my risk.
For sure.
I was seeing people get caught with it. It's better, what I found out, that it's better just to get caught with the weed.
Right.
I've seen people get caught with trucks with 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 pounds on it. 4 years, 3 years, because that's just possession.
Right.
Right. This whole conspiracy thing is what you want to stay away from.
That's right. That's when they give you the C30, I can't remember, is it C31? The 131 Kingpin charge. That's when they prove you're the manager. When you
are managing anybody, 3 or more people. Right. So I'm managing the girls because I'm getting the money from them. I'm managing them because you even managing the person with the weed, because the more that you don't do, that you think that, see, this is what I really, really learned. The more that you don't do is the worse off you are.
Right.
Because now you're creating you want to be the worker.
Because now you look like the boss.
You don't want to be the boss. The boss is the worst person in the world.
Because these laws that now take down drug dealers and hood cats were set up to take down Italian mafia bosses who never, all they did was delegate.
You have crackheads, literally crackheads in the feds right now serving 25, 30 years. Like the main law that needs to be changed, and that's what I fight for, and that's why I'm trying to go to the White House and change my demographic, is that you are storing people away in a bathroom and taking away their whole life.
Yeah.
And they didn't do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They didn't do. They didn't have. And they didn't do nothing. And I just don't think that's cool. And that's what I want to use my second chance for.
No, of course. I mean, it's they've really taken that law because now there is no more Italian mafia with that kind of power, but the law is still around.
Not only that, you're not even doing any more investigation like you did with the Italian mafia. You have to have pictures and catch them and have a person put on a wire and all this. Now just everybody's telling, so it's just so disgusting now because now that everyone is telling, they don't even need to do any work.
That's right.
The work is already done for them.
It's insane.
So it's like,
it's insane.
It's sick.
So with all that said, you said, okay, I don't want to keep it low key and just move a little 10, 20 pounds a week of high grade.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I will point out that's how I operated, and I made $1 million a year. Yeah. That's how good the game was back then. Yeah. You could send 15, 20 pounds a week, and as one guy.
What state?
I sent weed to New York, Dominicans.
I got like a little run in New York, but Atlanta is more picky because you got to understand it's a middle state. So everyone's coming from all the other states.
Right.
And it's a middle state. So that creates a bunch of pickiness. It's a very big hip hop state.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you got this and it's whatever they say on the song. That's just what it is.
Right.
You know what I mean? If Wham is right now, if it's Wham, then it's Wham. And if you don't have Wham, then you are sitting on the sideline until you get some Wham. Right?
Because somebody rapped about a strain called
Whatever
Wham?
Strain. No. I'm just saying that's today.
Okay,
That's today. Right. But I'm just saying in the era of, you're in an era of how that Atlanta era was and still is today, it's so big on hip hop is that whatever the hip hop is saying. With New York, when I went to New York, and shout out to my people in New York that they got to do their thing and help me make some money. But
Hayes.
New York was
all about Hayes back in the day.
It was Hayes. It was this. It was sour diesel.
Mm-hmm.
You make it and they paid more.
Yeah,
they paid more. Right. So
yeah,
it wouldn't get a long run. I probably got like a year or two run in New York. But
right,
I just wasn't. It just I don't know. Then he took longer. So I got more, but I was looking at it like he took a week.
Yeah.
Right. So taking a week and then I can focus on Atlanta and Charlotte or whatever, and everybody's coming back with the money the next day. Right. So even though I was getting more, to me, I wasn't getting more because the extra $200-$300 that I'm making is taking me a week to make it. And I've been spoiled in the game that whatever your box touched the next day, you get paid the next day.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so how do you decide to get off into lean?
Lean was more of like you get to meet all the rappers, you get to kick it with everybody. It was an easy hustle where I looked at it was like a stock market. I never looked at it as because I never used it or didn't know the effects of it until now.
Okay, can you tell us what lean is?
Lean is it's like a cough syrup. It's like
promethazine or something?
Promethazine cough syrup, yeah.
Okay, and how's it made, all that stuff?
I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure about that. I just looked at it more like a stock market type of thing where I'm buying it for this number and I can collect them and then I for sure get this number. So I can for sure sell them for $500 and I can get them for $300 in town. So the same money that I was making out of town in Charlotte buying the Reggie for $3, I can buy them for $3 and then sell them for $5. So I'm making $200 a bottle in town. And not only that, the people need me and they're going to give me their money, right? So it's I really damn near don't even need any money, actually. I just need to collect them.
Yeah.
Because if I tell you that I'm finna go get 10, I'll just send you the 5. They'll just give me the 5,000 up front.
Right.
So you're going to still make the same 2,000, but you have to collect and it's more work and you have to deal with a lot of, I would say different type of people in order to collect them and stuff. So it's more harder work. But
is that $500 a bottle?
$500 a bottle.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you and you're just able to sell in LA? You don't have to
I don't
ship
have to
them
go
anymore?
nowhere. I don't have to mail it. Now, if I mail it, I can get more. But I'm saying I don't really have to.
Okay.
I was thinking of things. I had sat down for a year, and I was thinking of things because I didn't get that much of a long run with it because I was only out for 6 months before the feds came. So I turned myself in for the year for the marijuana, and then the feds came. Right. So I got a 6 month of hustle of learning the lean game. So I didn't get to master it.
Right.
So I was just learning, like, how can I make another 2,000-3,000, manage my money, start trying to figure out how to invest. I started my first clothing line was old money because they used to call me old money because I used to always have all the old $100 bills. Right. So they used to call me old money. So I was pushing my brand. Right. And I had Charles Barkley and a few other people rock it. And I would have all the old hundreds and old 50s. So I would trade all my new money in. Even in my safe deposit box, I had nothing but old hundreds and old 50s. Wow. So every time I would see someone go to the bank, trade all my old money out. So then when I pull out the money, I have small faces. I don't even have big faces, right? So that created my name and I've created my image of old money, right? So I would sell the clothes and then sell lean in the clothes at that time, but it was only a 6 month run.
How are you? Yeah.
So I didn't really get it.
Is it a big market?
Press the brand and press the lean. So, but what I learned from the market is that as long as you had a sealed bottle, your money was like guaranteed. It was no talking. It was like a very, very short-lived hustle. That was like a smooth hustle. Wow. Yeah, it was very, very smooth.
It reminds me almost of like the Sherm phenomena in the hood in the 70s and early 80s with lean. Like it was niche, really bad for you. Yeah. But there does seem to be a lot of money in it. Yeah. Were you selling to dealers or people that were just going to use it?
More dealers and rappers.
Rappers loved
it. A lot of rappers. I met a lot of rappers.
Can you tell us names? No, you want to name names?
No.
Can we do it on the bonus? Can we do it on the Patreon episode?
A lot of big name. Let's just say a lot of big name rappers.
Yeah. I know Joel Santana. He really took a fall getting hooked on lean. Yeah. Who you sort of look like right now, to be honest with you. Pre-lean. Pre-lean. Okay. So, yeah. All right. So, yeah. Tell us about how this long run finally came to an end. You got caught with a pound of weed, you were saying. Take us from there. How did this whole thing unravel?
In 2009. Now, at this time, the guy that started Conspiracy, he's just getting caught, right? So he's getting caught around this time, right? Now, I don't physically know how the feds work physically. I don't know how the feds work. So when I hear in 2010 that he got 19 years, right? I'm like, I'm taking up on the street, like, even though he f***ed me over and he ran off with like 60 pounds and all kind of.
This is the guy, your main partner that would wrap all the weed and put it in the crates and all that.
Yes.
Got it.
So he gets sentenced. I go turn myself in to go do my year.
You got a year for what?
I was on 2 probations where I got caught with a gun and then I got caught with the weed in the car coming back from the Laker championship game when Kobe won in 2009. Right, we was with Trevor and my boy Brent had worked for Trevor Reeves at the time. So we was coming back and we're coming back from club area. So we're coming back from La Cienega from the party. I'm speeding and smoking weed and I'm the kind of person, even though it was 3-4 people in the car, I don't want everybody to go to jail. So I'm like, it's my. They're like, yeah, we got to search the car and all this.
What would they get? How much weed?
It was just a pound of weed in the car. Oh. And I was supposed to leave it, but it was a pound of weed. So, but I was already on like 2 probation and joint suspension. So they was like, you got to do a year. Like I've been kind of doing little ups. Right. So I'm like, all right, I prolonged that to 2011 and ended up turning myself in 2011. So I stayed out for 2 years and tried to get my life in order. During that time, when I did the time, a lot of things are crumbling. The game is changing, where now it's changing into the higher grade weed, where I'm not really in a very good place in that market. So I'm constantly spending money on living, right? I have to go turn myself in, and I have to still try to figure out how to take care of my family and do all this. And now I'm going for a year, right? So now, during the time that I'm gone for the year, he gets the time, and he's in the feds. I don't know how this works. So I get out 2012. I immediately, after I sat on the bunk, I immediately started having like deep feelings like, damn, that's fucked up. They took his wife, they took his kids. His kids was on a foster home. You know, his mother had died.
Wow.
Right. So I was like, damn, I got to figure out something. You know what I mean? Like I by guys, okay, we lost a little, he stole 60 pounds and fucking what's called, but we did make millions of dollars together.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
And do you know how he got caught?
He got caught with a crate.
He got caught with a crate.
Yeah, he got caught with a crate.
And he was sentenced to 19 years for that?
Yeah, with the conspiracy of all. He's the one going, he has ties to Charlotte. Right. You can show him going to Charlotte, right? So not 19 years let's get that clear. Not 19 years for the thing, for the conspiracy. For the
whole conspiracy, right. For all the years.
For the years of conspiracy. So I don't know physically how this works. So they have a courtroom on Hill Street that's downtown.
Yep.
Right?
Downtown LA.
That you get tickets at. Now I remember his wife's best friend used to work there. So I went on every floor. I got out till I found her. I found her on like the 4th floor. I was like, man, let me get her information, that person's information, and let me write her, right? Let me write her and write him, and let me send them some money and see what I can do for the kids. I got some clothes for the kids and stuff like that. Boom, she gives me the information. I send them some money, right? So I'm like, damn, I just sent them some money, and then they got my address, of course, right? But I'm not knowing this at the time. I'm like, damn, why do they want to write back? Now her friend ended up saying, like, she said, hey, and I thank you for the money, but he never wrote back, right? And I was like, damn, that's kind of weird. You're in jail. Yeah. Your mother's dead. You don't have any family, right? I just sent you $500. Like, why wouldn't you write back? You know what I mean? So I go on by my day. Someone in the streets that I see that I know that I hustle with says like, hey, man, you know, I'm like saying that he's cooperating. Right, but it's coming from a source of a person that doesn't like him.
Right.
Right. So it goes kind of one ear out the next. I'm like, bro, how are you telling you got 19 years? Right.
Yeah.
So I thought that meant something, but I don't know anything that the feds, you can get your time and then cooperate and tell your time back off. I'm a state baby at this time. So you can't do that in the state.
Right. You can't go back later and put up your hand after you get sentenced.
You got sentenced. Now you put your hand up and say you got some more information. I don't know that. So at this time, he's building a case. Right. So the case is building. Boom. About 6 months. That's what I'll tell you. I'm selling the clothes and the lean.
Yeah.
I'm just getting my money. I'm just staying out the way. And the first guy that I started the Charlotte stuff with, our kids are cousins too, by the way. I cooked my baby mom's sister. Our kids are cousins. And then he gets cracked on like the 13th of January. The feds come get him for Charlotte. I'm like, I haven't with him in a year. So I paid that no attention. These are two of the biggest signs. On the 20th, I go to the safe deposit box where I tell you they are acting funny and taking a loan to give me the key. I mean, taking a loan to open it. And telling me to hold up and making calls. They've never done this. Right.
And this is at the same bank in LA that you've been using for forever?
I mean, literally when I walk in, they're storming me to the back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to imagine I've tipped people on what's called, like, I'm not the person that's waiting, right?
Yeah. It's like Tony Montana when he walks in with the sacks of money.
Yeah. I don't walk in that flagrant, but I'm just saying they're not telling me to wait.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So when they do that, those are two signs that should have said, boom, grab your money and go. Or, you know, figure everything out. So people are like, yeah, man, they got to do it on the 13th. I'm like, I don't make any money with him anymore, so I don't think anything out. So January 28th, 2013, I'm leaving the cleaners. I went and I had just left and put some bottles in the refrigerator. You feel what I'm saying? And I came back. I'm about to take my daughter to drill team practice. So she's waiting. And then I'm about to pick my other daughter up. Right. So everybody's getting dressed. I'm going to the cleaners and doing all the little odds and ends. When I hit the street, I live in like, at this time, like over here on 64th, it's kind of like the Black Beverly Hills.
Ladera Heights?
Yeah, like kind of like it right near Ladera. Right?
It's nice.
So when I hit the street, I see nothing but white people. You know what I mean? There's no white people over here. You know what I mean? So,
LA's not gentrifying this fast.
Yeah, it's like, this was just crazy. And then it was like, one wasn't it was like a Challenger, a Charger, I think a Durango. So as soon as I hit the block, they just went boom and like sandwiched me in and just jumped out and freed and get out all in front of my neighbors. My daughter's looking out the window. It was just a day I would never forget.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, so it was that.
Okay, so you
And then,
get hauled in.
I get hauled in. Yeah.
Do you have bail? Are you able to bail out?
Can't bail out. They denied the bail.
Wow.
Yeah, they denied the bail.
Based on what?
Based on I was still on probation.
Yeah.
I was still on probation. And, I got out. I was only out 6 months.
Yeah.
So
you had a probation hold.
I had the probation hold.
Yeah.
Boom, they sent me to, that was the experience because now me and the guy, we're chained up going to Charlotte.
Together.
We're chained up in the van going to Charlotte.
Do you know he's telling on you?
Not at this time. We're both like, what the fuck is this? This is going to be easy to beat. We're looking at the names on the indictment. Like none of it even matches. He doesn't even know, Evelyn and them or this. None of it matches. It's a mixed up indictment that that the other guy ended up making up, right? That he put all the people together, but the people don't match. But they're all people, but you're just telling on everybody and they're just putting them all under conspiracy, but they should be in different conspiracies.
Right.
Right. So, oh my God, no, I'm taking this to trial. There's no way in the world I can get a case for a place that I've never even been to. I've never even been to Charlotte.
And what are your charges?
And I've never even received the money from Charlotte.
Right. It all came out of...
It came out of the women's accounts.
Yeah.
In different people's accounts. So
right.
You have no paper trail on me. Right. You're bringing up a paper trail from Atlanta. You don't have me mailing any marijuana. This is when I found out too. I'll get a little deeper into that. But when I see this going on and because we've got to stay on focus, we're chained up together. So we're coming up with this whole thing, right? While we're chained up, like, bro, let's just get down there. All you got to do is be quiet, bro. That's all that you have to do. The longer we be quiet, you can be like those bikers that all walked. All right. 58 of them walked because no one said any word, right? This is what would happen in our case. So that happens. We get down there the first day, the bail hearing in Charlotte. The lawyer comes back from the back and like, he's already cooperating against you. You might as well cooperate. I said, what the? We've been down here for 10 minutes. He already started cooperating in the first 10 minutes of us making it to Charlotte. This is my first time being in Charlotte. I've never been to Charlotte. And he already started cooperating. So, boom, as soon as we get down there, boom, he's cooperating. Right. So I'm just like,
who does he go to? I'm curious about that. You guys are chained up together. Was he cooperating while he was in prison? Or was that...
I don't know if he's calling to tell the people that he's got more. I don't know what he's doing. But when I get to the bail hearing, when we get to court, they're already saying that he's cooperating because we went to court. Then I'm like, damn, I don't see him no more.
Right. He must have been already letting them know
that he's about to cooperate.
Exactly.
But you got to remember that anybody that's out there that's in any federal conspiracy, they're pressing you so hard to cooperate, right? That if you're not built, you're not going to make it. I didn't even have to leave the back seat of the car. They wanted some information on where he hid his money at in the back seat of the car, and I saved them from that. You see what I'm saying? Like in the back seat of the police car from my house, there was like already asking you questions and already giving you options. You can get options before you get down there. Like you can play tough if you want to.
Yeah.
But we can help you right now. We ain't got to go down there. Let's just get to work right now. So they're giving you options. So
at every step,
and then they're constantly threatening people. The more you go deeper in the trial, they threaten your baby mom. They threaten your mom. They're threatening people that they're going to come pick them up for money laundering as well. Right. Yeah. So you got to live through the threats and you're going to have to, live through just everything that's really going on. It's very sick the way that they're doing because they're doing it all off of information of an informant.
Right.
It's like the only time that a person that is the scum of the earth that has 50 charges more than you, the only time that he can be of use is to help them convict another person.
Right.
Like, what are you getting out of this?
Right.
Like, you're letting someone that's already in jail convict another person. Yeah. They're not doing any work. You know what I mean? Once the trial starts, the lead detective and the arresting officers all said in trial, on trial transcripts that I have on paper, have you ever seen Mr. Cooper in Charlotte? No, sir. Have you ever seen Mr. Cooper sell any marijuana? No, sir. Have you ever seen Mr. Cooper commit any crime during this investigation of 40 tons of marijuana during your investigation of this? No, I haven't. No further questions, Your Honor. The only people that have seen me to do something is the people that I made money with.
Yeah.
He's actually keeping it real. He's, it's like you want to dap him up. You know what I mean? He's not lying.
The cops didn't lie on you.
The cops did not lie on me. They're actually telling the truth. It's the people that you made the money with.
That's right.
It's that seeing you do everything thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think, but as you said, if you get, I think it's like 2 or 3 people to finger you for something, that's all they need. I think it's in the law.
And they're not credible. And you can go to the jury and say, how not credible? Are you only doing this? Are you getting a time cut for your testimony today? Yes. They're telling the jury that they're getting a time cut for their testimony.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So so you do have a benefit on why you're saying this.
Yeah.
They're getting a benefit. They're saying it's just not fair. You know what I mean? It's just, it's just the most not fair in the world.
No, it's not. I had to explain to Mexican guys that would just come back from their trials just like, what the just happened? I just got slammed. Like, they were like, it's corrupt. I was like, well, technically it's not corrupt. That's how the law is written. So it's written to fail. Yeah. So you could say it's corrupt, but it's really just unfair. It's dirty. It's not constitutional. Yeah. But, okay. So then how long is the trial process? How long did it take you to eventually get to trial? How long are you waiting in jail in Charlotte for?
I would say a year.
Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah, and it's like single cells. It's vicious.
It's vicious.
Charlotte's vicious because it's clean though. It's very, very extremely clean, but it's very extremely stressful. You're getting no visits.
No.
You haven't seen your family. And if they did, where they're going to fly out there to come see you for 30 minutes during a window, so it's like you're not, you're far away from home.
Psychologically is the hardest part.
Yeah. Shout out to my boy, Parker Coleman too. That's serving 60 years too. Like, for the same conspiracy. He's still locked up right now. And he would have his sister come visit me. So shout out to his sister just for my mental. That was very, very, it was very lonely. It was a very deep, lonely part of my life. That's where I kind of did a lot of writing at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So who did the government present as witnesses? Obviously, the main witness, your partner, and then did they get anybody else involved? Any of the bankers? Any of the ladies?
They got like a bank expert, to show that it's called structuring bank transactions. Is what it's called. It's called structuring because it's under 10 grand. So we're charged with money laundering and structuring bank transactions, which goes up under tax evading.
Right.
Because if we're not putting the whole 10, you're just putting 9 so they don't have to report it.
Right.
Right. So,
but none of the ladies who actually did the depositing for you.
No, they were in trial with me. Those are the 2 people that went to trial.
Those are the
so
codes.
Everybody that I made the money with and hustle with, all told on me.
I see.
Only 2 people was Evelyn LaChapelle and Natalia Wade, who actually went to trial with me and stood up to this. You feel what I'm saying?
Right. So it was just the drug dealers that told on you, not the bank ladies.
Does that sound backwards?
It sounds way backwards,
you
bro.
would think the lady, so you're going to leave your kids.
Yeah.
You just got married, you're going to leave your kids. You have lupus and you're damn near about to die.
Yeah.
But y'all standing there right next to me and we haven't even seen each other in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
We haven't seen each other since 2009. We're in trial in 2013. So we haven't even physically seen. You have really no loyalty to me, actually. We have no reason to be loyal to each other. Right? I don't know where you live at. I don't West Coast. We don't talk anymore. So you're going to be loyal and we're going to sit like this at trial next to you. And now all the people that I grew up with and you bitches with and you did all this, I picked these people out of trash cans, these people, your kids' cousins, all this. Wow. Some of these people you've called your own brother.
Right.
I've lost a person I call him brother. We went and got priceless tattoos on our back because they were selling people in roots and they were selling blacks for $1 or $2. So I'm like, I can't be bought. And then I look at you and you're being bought by the feds.
Mm-hmm.
We got the tat because you can't buy me. There's no price that you can buy me for. You can't even buy me for my own freedom. I can't be bought.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like when you go in and you see the person being bought, it's like, oh man, this game is just anything.
It's hurtful.
Yeah, it's just whack.
How
you feel
many,
what I'm saying? Like, do not join this.
How many people total did the state have testifying or the government have testifying against you?
think six.
Yeah.
Six or seven that actually. Now, people that make statements, you got 30, 40 people. You know what I mean?
Right,
but like
right.
actual, like, climbed up there,
Yeah.
climbed up on the stand and just actually went up there. I would say like, about 6 or 7. Because you got the Charlotte people too.
Right.
It was my first time actually, I met her on the stand. The person I was actually selling the weed, that's my first time ever seeing her.
Wow.
It was a woman.
She's up there. Wow.
Saying like, I talked to him a few times. Have you ever met him? No, she's never met me. You know what I mean? So you got, 3 of the people that was from Charlotte and then 4 of the LA people. So like 7. Then, the investigating officer, they brought the other officer that actually arrested me for the pound of weed because they said I had a $70,000 ledger that was in the car. So that's what he testified to, that when I got caught with the pound of weed, why do I have a $70,000 ledger? Because I'm really just giving the pound of weed to my mom. My mom, I used to just give her a pound because she used to still smoke. So I used to just give her a pound just to smoke. You know what I mean? So I had it in the car and I was supposed to drop it off.
And now all of these people, all these witnesses against you that they obviously arrested and threatened with a ton of time, did this all start from the main co-defendant, your guy that used to do all the rapping?
Him and his wife both testified. She was up there too.
That's what I mean though. Did the investigation, when you read the discovery paperwork, did it all start with your business partner who got caught with the crate?
Yes.
And then started telling on everyone?
Then he told on everybody.
I got
it was just a wildfire and he told on everybody. And then when you get up there, you find out more during trial transcripts and during trial, like they're letting him leave jail to, like when I gave him the address, like he's going to McDonald's to MapQuest because it's not working in the jail. So he's leaving the jail. This is on trial transcripts, going to McDonald's to find everybody and showing them where everybody lives at and what's it called. So it's just like, you used your force, you used taxpayers' money to basically give a scum of the earth that's a lifetime career criminal a way out of jail to go get some more people off the street for something so minute as weed. So it's just like, what is the world coming to? It's not like he's going to go chase a child or what's it called to get somebody, that killed the kids at the school. You're going to get somebody off the street on an extended conspiracy over some marijuana. So it's just a piece.
Did they offer you a plea deal before you went to trial?
Yeah, it was like 12. It was like 12 years.
Wow. Did you know that life in prison was a possibility if you were found guilty?
They were saying it, but it was like, come on, like, you didn't really think that you're like, what you're going to do? Really give me some life for some weed. You feel what I'm saying?
I believe the feds.
Yeah, you believe them at some point, but at some point too, I'm thinking like, you don't really have me doing anything. Like I'm going against all career criminals. That's all been, your witnesses that you do have are all pieces. Right. So I didn't really look at it like that. And if I changed it today, I would still do it the same exact way.
Wow.
Yeah, I wouldn't change it today because it gave me purpose. It got me a chance to learn myself. Gave me a chance to write my book. It gave me chances to be a better son, be a better man to my women that I've dated, to be a better father. I got to learn a lot during that time that I would have never spent with myself, right? And now it's gave me purpose. You know what I mean? So now it's like, now I really got some purpose. You know what I mean? Now at the time it was just, I'm just in the hood, I got money, I'm bitches on what's called, but I'm repeatedly doing the same thing. You know what I mean? I'm repeatedly doing the same thing. Now it's like, no, I'm really going to make this minus a plus, and this 40-ton shit is going to be a worldwide brand, worldwide.
How did you're found guilty after trial? You go to sentencing. How did they come up with the number 40 tons? Like, how were they able to put that together mathematically?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, it just said, I used to have the actual thing and they took it. I used to have, you could still Google it, but when you Google it, it says 35 tons.
Okay.
Right. So it's up to 40 tons. But I had the actual real newspaper clipping. Charlotte man sentenced to 40 tons of life for 40 tons of marijuana. Right. So I used to wake up to that every day in my cell, and I used to have the newspaper clipping. And I used to I'm turning that around. Right. And I even had a thing that I posted on on my Instagram like in 2014, I believe, 2014, 15, right? I told somebody to post it for me. And I said, the same thing that brought me down will be the same thing that brings me back up. Wow. Right? And I like stood on that. And now that that's actually physically happening, it's like, yeah.
Okay. How did they come up with 40 tons of weed when they sentenced you?
Just collecting all the data from, the crates, or it's kind of the same way how you just came up with it. Well, like even during this interview, like you were adding, like if you do 50 pounds a day, 40, what I mean? Like,
well, 20, you were doing about 500 pounds a week, which is 2,500 pounds a month. Well, 2,000 pounds a month, which is about a ton. Mm-hmm. And then you were doing it for actually more than 5 years, which would make about 40 tons. So,
so I think that's kind of how they added up. And then, that's how, but I was like, that's perfect. Because I'm like, now that's going to authenticate everything, right? So it authenticates the brand.
Hang on. We'll get there.
Oh, okay.
It wasn't perfect at the time.
No,
it was far from perfect, dog, that I don't even know how to put it into words. Yeah. So you actually pushed probably more than 40 tons because you were running from 2003 to 2011.
And you're not counting other states. Like
right.
New York's not in there.
Right.
Atlanta, this conspiracy is not from Atlanta either.
It's just out of Charlotte.
It's just out of Charlotte. So you don't even have none of that Atlanta numbers.
Yeah.
Right. So, so you don't have all the numbers. You don't have South Carolina. We did South Carolina.
Yeah.
You don't have those numbers either.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Wow. Okay.
You don't even have like, just middlemen in LA.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Wow.
So that's another number.
That's an unbelievable amount of weed. I mean, look, people have been sentenced to life for less.
Yeah.
Got
people that's in life for one crack, what I mean? One piece of, the guy for the pizza and this person. And
right.
So
exactly.
You have a lot of different things that are like, the main thing that I would like to change if I can ever, which I'm working to get to Congress, is changing the conspiracy law.
Yeah.
Like you said, like that was built for the mob. It's not, the mob's not around anymore.
Yeah.
So, change the conspiracy law and make it where people can at least, it's okay, if you commit a crime, you need to, you should go to jail. You commit a crime.
Yeah.
Right. But not wash everybody up and just throw away the key. Right. So it's just
because that leads to way more abuses too.
Yeah.
Like conspiracy, it's like, well, okay, it starts with drug dealers, but then now it becomes like, oh, maybe you're speaking up against,
because everybody can't take the. Like I've seen 6 suicides in there.
Wow.
Like it's like you just talked to this guy at rec and then he was 4 cells down and just slit his neck. You know what I mean? And they see him pull him out. Everybody can't take this shit. And you're going to go to a maximum security, so you're going to be locked down a lot. This is not nothing to play with for a regular person.
No.
Like I wouldn't, even the people that testified against me, even the people who's ever done me wrong, I wouldn't want this on them because everyone can't handle not a maximum security U.S. federal prison. The shit that goes on in there is really, really next level.
I want to talk about that when we get to our bonus episode. But real quick, what happened to the ladies that your co-defendants?
They got 87 months. So they did 87 months.
Okay, thank God it wasn't longer. I mean, it's a long time.
No, but
it's
you're talking people that never spit on the sidewalk.
I know.
So it's like a lifetime, and then I always had felt bad. I ended up dating Evelyn, was actually my girlfriend when she got out. But she was going. It was one night we was coming back from court, and this is when they finally took her in. So she got took away from her kids, and her family was all in court. And I'm in a court tank, and they put her on suicide watch. So that was very, that was one of the most painful things because it was like, damn, I caused all this by her going to the bank for me. Now she's gonna kill herself. Natalia has lupus. Natalia almost died because they couldn't do her. My daughter has lupus right now. So lupus is a very, 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 very delicate thing that they don't give you the type of treatment and food that you need. Right. And it's a very, very dietary drug. A dietary disease. Right. So both of them are on the verge of dying. And I felt like, damn, I put them in this predicament. They were getting the money from me and they were being loyal to me. I'm the only person that you could be loyal to of why you're going to trial.
Right.
And, so that was, that was pretty like heavy on me during that time of them going away during their time and I had to do my time. And I felt like I was kind of doing their time too.
Yeah.
It was like, damn, they're shipped off and they're, like.
When you heard life without parole, I mean, what does that feel like?
I never really gave up. I never took it in, because if you take it in, you're going to wear it. Right. So I never, if you look at any of my like prison pictures, I always still was clean. I still kept my swag. I still kept my demeanor, walking around. No one even, they like, people were at the prison, like no one knew that I had life. They're like, bro, you carry yourself like you go home tomorrow. And I used to tell everybody, like, bro, I go home tomorrow, bro.
Wow.
We've got denied at every level that you can get denied at.
Of your appeals.
Of my appeals. Everything. Me and my attorney, Patrick McGurrow, now that's my boy. You know what I mean? Like he fought to the end he doesn't even take any more money. We did 25 for the first appeal, 25,000 for the first appeal. And after that, he said, I'm getting you back home and I'm delivering you to your mom. And that's what he did. You feel what I'm saying? We got denied in the Obama administration.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We tried the clemency there. We went all the way to the Supreme Court because I was the lead of Prop 64 and Prop 47. So Prop 64 in LA is dropping your weed down and getting it taken off your record. Right. So I was like the campaign for that. So I got both of my priors, the priors that got me to life was the bottle of codeine. That's Prop 47.
Yeah.
Right. So I got that took off my jacket for the bottle of codeine that I got caught with. And then a pound of weed that I got caught with. Those are exonerated from my jacket. So we went back to the Supreme Court and said, this I know that it's meant, because we just asked to just get sentenced, which they could have only gave me 10 years, right? If I didn't have those two things on my jacket. So just give me the 10 years. I've already been in 7 years at that time, right? And now I just get my time served and go on about my day.
Yeah.
But that's not what God had planned. God had planned for the life to stick, to get the clemency, to do everything. And that got denied. It's like, it was no reason to get denied. Here's the paperwork of me getting them dropped down. They're no longer on my jacket.
Right.
And I just want to get sentenced for time served. And that got denied. So God wanted it to be in the purpose of the clemency in the way that he wanted it to happen.
Which is Donald J. Trump.
Big Donald, not the little one. Big Donald.
I hope he got your vote this year, last year, sir. Whatever you think about politics, I don't care if Joseph Stalin is running for president. If he got me out of a life sentence, I'm voting for him, and I'm putting a sign lawn in my yard. I mean, now. Today, it's so funny because when it all depends on the politics of the time, right? Yeah. Like today, he's calling for drug dealers to get the death penalty because in the last 4 years, with everything with migrants and fentanyl, and we're kind of swinging back to like the 80s with like the call for tough on crime. But back in the the waning years of the Obama administration, all of this, the culture starts to swing against harsh punishment for nonviolent offenders, right? Yeah. Drug dealers and things like that. And Trump knows this. Yeah. And he played it real well. He said, what happened to black people, specifically to people of color, and the war on drugs was f***ed up. Yeah. And you're not the first guy I've talked to on this podcast who got out because of Trump. Yeah. So explain how it happened. Like, did you see do you have to apply for the clemency, or how does that work? I assume you do.
Okay, so you apply. So each presidency has its own clemency. So we went through the Obama administration and we got denied, right? And he did the most clemencies, like damn near, I think, in the world. So next, we're like, we got to apply during Trump, right? My attorney is from New York, right? So he's like, yeah, we're going to apply during Trump. And I'm like, one thing I could say about him, when they said we got to apply to Trump, I'm like, he's unpredictable.
Right.
He's unpredictable. You don't know what the he's going to do. So we start pulling. We got a little traction under Trump. We made it to 40,000 signatures on our own, right? Just me and my attorney on our change. You got to start at change.org, and people have to sign it and say that this man shouldn't be serving life for marijuana.
Okay,
right?
So clemency is different than like a pardon.
I'm still trying to get a pardon right now. I'm trying to ask Trump for a pardon. Pardon is like it never even happened.
Can you? Okay, I see. So
I'm still on parole. I have to ask my parole officer to be here.
Right. I see. No, but that's really interesting, though. I want to distinguish for people because I didn't even realize that. Clemency is when the president can say, okay,
the crime doesn't fit the time.
Right. I see.
And then we can commute your sentence.
Right.
You can get out of jail. right? I'm still on 10 years paper. I've been out 4.5 years.
Right.
So
I see.
So this is kind of how it happened. So we make it to about 40,000 signatures on our change.org. But my attorney asking the world as being from New York, he's like, as being a citizen, me and my client's life is parallel. I have 2 daughters. He has 2 daughters. We're both the same age. We're both this. We're both that. I just want him home, and who believes that. And I'm asking that as Patrick McGrew, as being an attorney from New York, right? That gets traction. Then I start doing podcasts, and I start, reaching out and start, doing a few things, So I landed big. I do the BET.
From the jail phone?
From the jail phone.
Wow.
I do BET. Nas did the thing. Eric Parker and a few guys, helped out on that. But Nas put up the money. We didn't have the actual full money yet for it to get put out, right? So I had filmed it. We had filmed it like a year and a half before it even came out. And then Nas executive produced and put the money up and then put it out. And I was like, I did a few things, but that one just really triggered it right there. And I did it like during the Hip Hop Awards in 2020, right? So it was like I had a big segment on there, and they came and talked to my kids. And that catapulted me. Next day, I had like 157,000 signatures, right? Then we made it to like 176,000 signatures. He did an interview and made it to the front page of the New York Times, December 31st. How can you let your friends out? This is when he started letting his friends out. How can you let your friends out and leave Corvain Cooper in there? So that made front page New York Times. So I still have that paper.
Wow.
And then it was viral after that. Right. So then we made it to, I think by the end, 176,000 signatures. And it was still like hard beating because the list comes out. Trump is doing a list, and I'm not on the list all day.
Right.
So I'm in a cell. I'm pacing back and forth. We're on a 4-month lockdown. Somebody just got stabbed at the computer.
Where are you?
I'm in Pollock, Louisiana. It's probably I would say top 3 worst prisons in the feds.
Wow.
There
you are a weed dealer.
Yeah.
Holy.
So,
and by the way, with the Clemency, like after you get all those signatures, you submit them. Where does your attorney take those?
They're already in the computer.
Who does he send it to? For consideration, you send it to the Court of Appeals. How do you get it to the president? These signatures.
That's all a part of your letter to the president.
I see. Got it.
This is how many Americans wants this person out.
Got it.
This is what he's doing. Got it. Boom. He's not been in any trouble. Right. So we get to that point, right? And we're at 11 o'clock at night, and I'm pacing back and forth in the cell. My radio's barely working because I'm in a bad area to hear NPR. And I'm like, damn, man. So I'm asking everybody in the unit, like, do you hear my name on NPR yet? And they're like, nah, man. I said, what's going on in the bottom ticker? Because my boy is downstairs, so I'm talking through the vent to read the bottom ticker. I got all the TVs on CNN because it's the last day.
Hang on. You gotta explain this. It's the last day of Trump's presidency.
Last day of Trump's presidency. If you don't get out today, it's over.
Yeah.
You got to wait on Biden. Biden, you know what I mean? So.
Capitol's about to get stormed. Oh, no, the Capitol's already been stormed, actually.
Hold on. I'm depending, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
Because that makes it more juicy. I'm depending on a person who's stormed the Capitol, they say, allegedly.
Right.
Who's got voter fraud, allegedly.
Right. Thinks the election was stolen from him.
Right. Yeah. Thinks the election was stolen from him. This is during the time that I'm waiting on this.
Yeah.
Right. He has the thing going on with the sex case, all this stuff going on. He's going to try to arrest him.
Right.
This is the person I'm depending on to get me out, to even care about little old South Central ass me to come get me out of prison. And you got thorns thrown at you. You got that's the part that's making your heart beat fast. Right.
This guy's got a lot going on, and he's also
he has the most going on than any president ever.
Yeah. Right.
Ever.
Right.
In history. So he has so many they've never threw this many darts at one person. Yeah. Right. So all the darts just thrown at him. What the are you thinking about me for? Right. So 11 o'clock hits. I'm still not on there. 11:30 hits. And I got to go sleep and do this time. My name is not, I've asked downstairs, my name is not on the dock. It's not on NPR, and it's not on CNN. I wake up in the morning. We got to do showers. Now, mind me, when you're on a severe lockdown, you have to put your hands through the cuffs, through the things, and they're going to cuff you up to go to the shower, right? That's because it breaches security for them to open your door and you don't have your cuffs on, right? And then you get handcuffed when you get back to the shower, right? So I go to the shower. I never forget my boy Marquise from DC yell out the window. He say, "Man, keep your head up, man. Like, they probably just know with the paperwork, man. You're gonna be out of here, man. I can feel it." Like he just, this is out of nowhere. He says this. He sees me feeling down. Everybody has to go back to the BET doc. I have to go back there because in the federal prison, to have every race, just how powerful it was. I had every race and every unit watch it. Wow. Right? And in federal prison at a USP, if you're white or Mexican, you're not even supposed to stop at BET. I mean, your TV shouldn't even stop there. It's the most prejudiced place in the world.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you shout, I don't give a what's on there. You can get a real something can seriously happen to you. So that's how much amount of love that I had in the unit that every single TV watched it, even on the white TV and even on the Hispanic TV, they watched it. So that was powerful for me too, right? So we get to 11:30. I mean, we're to the morning and I'm coming out and he tells me that. He's like, "Man, just keep your head up. Don't look like that." I say like maybe an hour later, maybe an hour, 2 hours later, they like, "Counselor on the range." Now, mine were on lockdown. What the fuck is a counselor doing on the range? You feel what I'm saying? So everybody announces it like a counselor on the range. Man, he went to that door. He came to my door, unlocked it. Now, mind me, we just got handcuffed to go to the shower, so you can't unlock the door. That's a breach of security. He said, "Man, you got 5 minutes to pack it up, man. Get the fuck out of here, man. You just got Clemency."
Wow.
And it was like, when you mean like a whirlwind and lifted up off of you.
Yeah.
And I just start passing this shit out. And there I had cardies and chains and all that. I gave all that shit away and just walked by. I walked by somebody's door in there. I said, "Walk by faith, not by sight." Wow. Next day when I got home, I sent everybody $100. You know what I mean? That was on the tier. And that was a day to remember.
Wow. So then do you go you fly from the facility? They fly you on Con Air or what do they?
No, you go downstairs. My business partner is out. You go talk to your counselor first. They give you the actual clemency papers, which I have framed in my hallway now. And they give you the actual papers from Trump. I call my mom. She's like, "What are you crying for?" I'm like, "Mom, I'm really coming home." Like, she's like, "I know. I talked to Ivanka last night. She called me at 12.
Ivanka Trump?
Ivanka Trump called my mom.
Called your mom?
Yeah. I got a letter from Ivanka at home, too. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean...
And she wrote me after and talked to me after they weren't even the president no more.
That's unbelievable. That should be clipped and replayed for my mother, who's like a Trump never, she got Trump derangement syndrome.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't agree with a lot of what he's doing right now. It makes me nervous.
Yeah,
but they've really got a soft spot for some injustice, you know?
And I think he hates a snitch. I mean, he hates him.
Yes, he hates snitches.
I mean, he hates snitches.
Totally. Because the feds were trying to put him away.
Bro, he hates a snitch. He's seen that in snitch. Let's get him out of there. He hates the conspiracies. You know what I mean? Like,
dude.
Like, he really, really hates a snitch, bro. You know what I mean? So, like, he got all his boys out that didn't snitch.
Right.
He came back and got them.
Wow. So that somehow made it across his desk maybe a couple weeks before he was set to leave. Yeah. And who knows who grabbed him before he had, that you got a couple more pardons and clemencies to decide on.
Brittany K. Barnett, Alice Johnson helped out. Yeah, she's actually works in a thing now. Alice Johnson works in the White House now. Wow. Brittany helped her get out, which, they used Kim K too to help.
Right.
And then now she's the head of doing clemencies and stuff now when she was doing time. So that was pretty dope, yeah.
That's unbelievable. So you got your clemency paperwork, and then how does that work? You're from LA, but your case was out of Charlotte. So did you have to serve, did you just get it transferred to LA?
No, you still have your number. It's wherever you got arrested at. So your number is still going to be 112 because they arrested me in California.
Yeah.
Now they expedite you and then they send you. And the expedite is very crazy. You know, you're going to be in a van, you're going to go here, you're going to go to Osceola and all these little different jails. Went to Lovejoy was different. Went to Lovejoy. Gucci Man was locked up during that time.
Oh,
Lovejoy.
yeah. But so you, okay, wow. So this was 2021 and you've been out 4.5 years. Gosh, I mean, how could you not feel like, wow, this was really God's intervention?
It's only God can do this. This is not, this can't know money, can't know nothing. This is all God. And then you have to have purpose because you have to realize like, well, why God do it? You know, like what did he utilize me for? Like, why did he do this?
Yeah.
Right. So that's where I come up with like, you have to really serve purpose at that point. At that point, you have to like do something with it.
Right.
You can't just, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you gotta actually figure out, well, what are you gonna do with this second chance that God gave you?
So what are you doing with that second chance? Tell us.
So the same thing that took me down is what I named my company. So I founded 40 Tons. So 40 Tons brand is we're in 59 stores in New York. We're sold in Wisconsin, Minnesota.
It's a clothing company?
No. We do clothing and we do sell marijuana. So I sell marijuana legally now.
Got it.
Yeah. So New York is our biggest base. Our biggest base as far as for our brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
wow. Yeah. That's crazy. Okay. 40 Tons. Do you have retail distribution there or do you just sell it to other dispensaries? How does that work?
Well, our number one shirt that we sell is that no one should be in prison for a plant.
Yeah.
Right. So no one should be in prison for cannabis is our number one like message that we push. We advocate for the people that are still currently locked up. I even have Parker Coleman is one of my co-defendants, actually. So he's serving 60 years. He's been down to 14 or 15 years now. Then you got Edwin Rubies, you got Mabit Tahir, you got Kevin Allen. You got people that's still serving life. Pedro, that's still serving life for this plant that people don't even know about because no one speaks about them. In order for people, all the things that I did Business of Drugs, episode 5 on Netflix from in prison. Okay. I'm on episode 5. I did that and a few other things that, the BET. I did I did Complex. I did 5 things.
You got interviewed by the magazine?
Complex magazine, but they did an actual show about it too.
Yeah.
I did 5 nice, decent things from in there that brought a lot of light to the case. So as much light as that was brought to me, I want to bring as much light to them to help them.
So, no, but when you got out, you did the Vogue? You're on the cover of Vogue?
Vanity Fair.
Vanity Fair.
Yeah,
huge,
Vanity Fair.
Huge.
Yeah, that was huge. Yeah.
So you've got a cannabis brand, but again, how does that work? Do you sell marijuana wholesale to these retailers in New York?
No, you got to get with a retail brand, which we're with HPI Canada. They own 22 of the shelf space in New York.
Oh wow!
Right, so they're the biggest like distributor out there. Right, we do career fairs too, and we get people hired back into the industry, right? And I'll be doing some stuff with the mayor and the city council in August.
In LA?
In LA, yeah. I'll be doing some stuff in LA and Sun Valley. So we'll be doing that to expunge people records because people need to know if my record was expunged, I wouldn't have got the life sentence.
Right.
So you have to
that's so interesting because your points were higher.
The points is higher. And then the things that you think are small, like I don't need to care about it. It's just a weed and I got called a bottle of cough syrup.
Right.
But those are two strikes. Those are 2 drug felonies priors. Right. So then you get the third with the conspiracy. Now you're struck out. Now you got life. Right. So, I try to teach on those type of things. We've done 6 career fairs worldwide. We rented out Malcolm X College, Juneteenth.
Wow.
Yeah, in Chicago. We did one in New Jersey and Trenton.
Amazing.
I try to, spin off and do those things and then still press the brand because now I want to sell 40 tons of marijuana legally. And I don't care if I'm in one store in Texas, right? As soon as you drop to Texas, I want to be in Texas. Then you drop in this state, right? Because as long as you're in one store, you're an MSO without being an MSO. And now you can just say you're a worldwide brand.
Yeah. Isn't that fascinating? I've talked to a couple guys like that. Nobody that did as much time as you did for weed, but everybody's jumping in like the legal cannabis space now.
Which is the tightest space in the world, which is nothing like what we just explained. You can't, it's no money.
There's no money in it.
If first of all, the only way you make money is you got to be vertically integrated. You're going to have to be the grower. You're going to have the spot market. And another thing that you got to do with all this tariffs that's going on, we're having a lot of problems with.
Right.
your packaging. You need to make your own packaging is what we're learning. You can't keep going to China getting the packaging. They got all this terrible going on.
Yeah.
And you're going to spend a lot on packaging a month.
Wow.
You know what I mean? You're going to spend 8 to 10, depends on how many stores you're in.
Right.
Because you got to have backup packaging too for if it slows down and it's Chinese New Year and all this other type of stuff. So I learn a lot about the legal compliance. It gets taxed every 5 seconds. We just talked about how you sell it you buy it for 3 and sell it for 5 and just make it $2,000 and go about your day. You created your own taxes because you created paying this person $400 to get the money back. Yep. You created paying somebody $200 West Coast. Those are your own things to keep people from behind the game. But that's not a product of the price. Yeah. So.
Yeah, there's a give and take to it.
Yeah.
Sure, you risk life in prison, but it's a lot less headache.
Yeah. It's
a give and take, man. I never felt bad for myself because I was like, dude, the only reason I'm in prison, the only reason I was able to make all the money that I made was because it was illegal, because you risk prison. That was the trade-off. But certainly life in prison is not fair. Any kind of decades in prison for weed is not fair.
Not only that, and the stuff that you see in there. And it's not guaranteed that you're going to make it out.
That you're going to walk out, especially not of a USP. But let's talk about that on the Patreon. Okay. But what an amazing life you have. What an amazing life story. Like one of the last real kingpins from South LA, dude.
Yeah, South Central.
I mean, what does your dad think? He's still kicking, man. Do you stay in touch with Freeway Rick and Harry O?
I still talk to them all the time.
Yeah,
I still talk to them all the time.
They must be proud of you, man.
Yeah, they like what I'm doing. They like what I'm doing, and I can always call them for advice. They answer first ring. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the other day, Jim Jones came in town. I with Jim heavy, and then Jim wanted to talk to Ariel, and I just FaceTime. I'm like, bro, Ariel right here. You know what I mean? So I like the fact I don't abuse it. I don't like abuse it, but
yeah, that's amazing. Well, where can they find you? I mean, obviously we're gonna plug 40 tons. That's the strain. If you're in New York, where else are you in?
Minnesota. We're in Wisconsin,
Minnesota, and New York City. When you go to a dispensary, look out for 40 tons.
Yeah.
I guarantee it's not going to be Reggie. That's the ironic thing.
No, it's not going to be Reggie no more. But you got to remember too, the weed in New York is kind of controlled. It's kind of controlled.
So it can only be so strong.
The good thing about it's still weed. It's still strong. But
right.
The good thing about the New York market is that you just need to make your brand bigger, because they don't have like all the different weeds that we have out there. They have a few grows, so everybody kind of has the same kind of weed almost.
Oh, interesting.
You see what I'm saying? Like it's a controlled market.
Right.
So
it's better to make money when it's controlled.
It's controlled. It's like they only got maybe 5 weeds to choose from, so people are really picking the brand that they like.
Right. Yeah.
Instead of the thousands and thousands of different
strains. Brand is better, and 40 tons is a great brand. Yeah. So you go pick up 40 tons, go smoke it. Tell us about your social media. Where else can people find you?
You can go to Corvain Cooper.
Yep.
You can find me if you want to personally just with me.
Yep.
Just go to Corvain Cooper and then 40 tons to see what we got. We got 40tons.co. We got career fairs that you can go if you want to learn about our career fairs. You can just learn about all the things that we do at 40 tons. Like it's not just a one-stop shop. Like we do more than one thing than just, we do Can of Christmas and give back to the people that's locked up for cannabis crimes for their families during Christmas.
Oh, it's great.
You know what I mean? So now we got 40 Tons Foundation too. So if people want to donate to 40 Tons Foundation.
I want to donate.
Yeah. So,
I will donate. That is my word. I will put a link in the description and in the intro. That means a lot to me. I was locked up for cannabis. It sounds gay to say that.
So that's the main thing.
Trapper.
Is the people that's like locked up, help them out, and we keep money on their books and stuff like that. That's our main thing that we've been trying to project. You know what I mean? Like to push that out. How do we did a deal with Hemper, so we have over 40,000 trays. That's why I should have bought you some trays with their faces on it, and you can scan their information. So now people don't really get rid of their weed trays. So every event we pass out their face. So now they're popular in all the different markets. Because now their face, people are like, well, damn, what was that? That's the guy that's serving for 5 years. That's the guy that's serving for 15 years. Yeah. So while you're smoking, they can still be in your household. So we got over 40,000 trays.
Wow.
Yeah.
You're a creative, you know that?
Yeah. I'm trying to.
You're as the Jamaicans say, you're a bad man.
I'm trying to. I give all the glory to God. I don't want to take no glory.
No, man is small, God is perfect.
Yeah.
He doesn't make mistakes. So, Corvain, what a treat. What a treat, man. You make me miss Cali. So I appreciate you
coming. Come back, stop with me, man.
Yeah, man, bro. It's say less.
Yeah. I'll come pick you up in the Porsche, man. We just gonna hang out.
And you still got the Porsche, bro.
It's my third Porsche. You know what I mean? Let's be clear with that,
man. Let's talk a little more on the Patreon. Patreon.com/TheConnect Show. Go check out his foundation. Go buy his brand, 40 Tons, and go follow him on Instagram and message him and. Corvain Cooper, and hopefully look out for a big documentary that's coming to a streamer.
The book, Look Into My Eyes, coming soon too. Look Into My Eyes. Part 1, 2, and 3 of the series.
Wow, that's coming.
Doc is around the corner. Doc is we're eating.
Corvain, I appreciate you, brother.